Yep, we do.
She just said, yeah.
It's working, Lizzie.
Oh, good.
I actually almost forgot myself.
Now do I go here?
Don't know how to do.
No, I want to share. I don't remember how I share my screen.
Should be an option
There is down here, but
in the Zoom.
You see it lit up in green.
Yeah, it's going right there,
There
right?
it is.
Oh, but it brings up this.
Then the share on the right.
What are you trying to share?
Like the agenda, have like the agenda,
had the
where we
agenda.
ever on the packet.
right there.
There it is.
Okay.
There.
Excellent.
Yay.
I did it.
You get lots
No.
of gold stars, Lizzie.
All right. I'm going to call this Town of Vinalhaven Select Board meeting for Tuesday, June 7th, 2022 to order. Roll call. Eric Gasparini, myself, Pam Alley, Leslie Dyer is attending virtually. And we have Marjorie Stratton, interim town manager, and we have Elizabeth Bunker, deputy town clerk, taking minutes. Approve the agenda. Do we have any additions, subtractions?
Could I add the housing committee to the agenda, please?
Sure. So we will move that to 7D.
D.
We'll go
Oh,
two ways
right.
again.
Yes, it's 2 ways again.
All right. I move we approve the agenda as amended.
So moved.
All those in favor? Number 3, approve minutes. Approve the minutes from the May 24th, 2022 Select Board meeting and May 26th, 2022 Select Board meeting, public meeting.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Yes.
Number 4, approve and sign treasurer's warrant number 49.
Okay.
moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Yes.
Number 5, communications.
I have none.
Seeing none, we will move on to 6, speakers from the floor.
I see that you're going to take up the planning commission review. I wonder if there's any chance you could do it sooner in the meeting so I can go to the fireman's meeting at 5:30.
Sure, we will move that next. If there are no more speakers from the floor.
Can
And
I
then,
just make- oh, sorry.
do you want to go after him?
I just, one of the speakers from the floor.
Oh, go ahead.
I just wanted to find out, I don't know where Andy left things in terms of getting a planner on board, but I think Noel Mussum was someone he was in touch with. And I know Marjorie's plate's probably really full, but it would be great if she could reach out to him and see if he's still interested in being a planner to help the planning commission with the ordinance review and the housing proposals and all this. So if Marjorie needs his contact information, I have it. But I
Is
just
it something
wanted
that's in the budget or I
Yeah,
We haven't.
There's a
approved-
plan, the entire planning department now.
Yes. Yep.
That it should be its own line item somewhere in the budget, or its own department, I should say. Somewhere in his budget book.
It's not under administrative, it was its own.
Its own, it should be its own thing,
I was gonna-
unless I really
No, I
can't
think you're
remember
right.
anymore.
No, I think you're right.
and who was that?
his name's Noel Mussum, Musson, I think.
Do you mind just forwarding her the contact details? So she can-
Sure.
Oh, great. thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. All right, we'll move on to 9C, review summary of changes proposed by planning commission to land use ordinance. It's all right. We have one addition under 7, it's the housing committee, it'll be 7D. But right now, we're on 9C, reviewing the summary of changes proposed by planning commission. number 18, remove substantial start from definitions. It's being removed, it's not being updated.
I that was probably voted on 2.5 years ago. My recollection of the discussion.
I think we did remove substantial start. It had, I think the start had to be, or the exterior had to be completed within a year, people had to get another permit.
So is that clear within the
I
ordinance
I
now?
think we changed,
We're working on memory here.
there's a
Okay.
requirement now that a certain amount of work be done
Right,
before it just said you had to make a substantial start without really defining what.
right, which I thought was pretty vague to begin with, so
Yeah.
if it's more defined now, I think
So
that's
it's much
an
more
improvement.
defined.
Okay,
It has to do with the exterior of the structure. As long as that's completed, then the interior can take forever.
okay,
They have to get another permit if it isn't completed.
okay.
You think that all the changes and all that? From those sections?
Well, it's in,
Well, we have this one, we printed off one red line version. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, because it
you
shows
wanna
what
look at
was
that?
there and then the changes are in red.
Did we get a copy of that in an email? 'Cause I'm probably-
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we
the
sent,
reason- the
that's
reason
right.
for the summary was to try to
Yeah,
make it a little more understandable without having to go through the whole thing.
Yep.
But it should try to put in the pages so that you could go to the ordinance to better understand it.
I mean, I haven't seen anything that I think needs any adjusting by us. I mean, it's gonna have to be voted on by the town anyway, so.
I'm hoping we get some people to show up at the public hearing,
Yeah.
so it can be, it can be talked again. I mean, almost everything on here is unanimous out of our committee. There's a couple, the change from, we're the only town in the state that requires a septic to be 125 feet. Every other municipality and city is 100. Ellen voted against it, but the rest of the committee voted in favor. On the housing committee, the latest thing we did, Jeff voted against it, but everyone else voted in favor. But pretty much everything else, we talk it out. And so when we vote on it, it's generally unanimous.
Okay.
It's the best committee I've been on in 35 years. I mean, the stuff gets discussed. I mean, it's pretty healthy.
Decreasing the setback 125 to 100, he says shoreline zone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's just, no, it's for the septic.
Just the
Oh,
septic.
oh,
It's
oh,
just the
okay. I was gonna
septic.
say,
So,
so
when
we
we
can't.
have, when someone gets a site evaluator to come out to design a system, some of them aren't aware that Vinalhaven is 125 and every other town that they're licensed to be in is 100. And I spoke with Brent Lawson, who oversees the subsurface, and he said that he wasn't aware that we had changed it. But he said that it's much more important from his point of view to make sure that the systems get installed correctly and inspected. Because he said if they're not put in correctly, the extra 25 feet
Isn't gonna make a
doesn't
difference.
help.
Oh,
I used to put in septics. I did it for 12 years. And the easiest way to cheat is to put it in the ground a foot or more. Save a lot of money on fill, but it's competing with the groundwater. And
The pages are numbered.
I always tell
Oh,
people that it's their front yard. that
Is it 100 feet from what?
mean high water.
So it is in the
What
12.
Section, does not say. What section is that under, Wes? Could you, the pages aren't numbered in the ordinance, so.
Not numbered.
Unless I'm missing it, but I don't see a page number, do you?
No,
I think it was, again, it was stuck in, so it may not be where it makes the most sense.
It just
But
says page 21.
Under dimensional requirements.
Mention, yep.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's probably just listed in the chart as to how
Yeah, I
far
think
it has to be
So it has the index, but no page numbers.
on the 100-page.
Yeah.
document.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I just have, yeah, I want to have more information about that before.
You know, people's gut reaction is, oh, it has to be better because you're increasing it by 25%. But again, the guy who oversees the whole program for the state of Maine, he thinks it's way more important that they be inspected, that they're being put in correctly according to the design. You know, I mean, we've had code enforcement officers that have gone out. I probably spent, I don't know, I've probably accompanied Dennis Small to 300 soil, tests on the island. And he has a site level and, and he marks a tree. But I mean, if the inspector goes to the site and doesn't have some instrument to check where the bottom of that septic is, it's anybody's guess.
Now, the setback is recommended 100 feet. Is that that's the state requirement?
That's the state
And
requirement.
the town
We had 125.
has 125. Okay, so it is,
Again, and it, there's,
Wonder how
it
that-
appears the state has no issue with 100 feet because
What's
that's
that?
what they recommended for the whole state.
Well, I'm always curious, so obviously this is now, that ordinance is about 20 years old, give or take.
Yeah, why did we
Ordinance, I wonder like what the reasoning was 20 years ago for the 125. Was at that time, was the state's requirement 125?
No, state has always been 100.
Oh.
I mean, the ordinance that we're working with started in 1974. That's when the state imposed the shoreline zoning and the way more strict restrictions on septic. Before, the plumber would go out and dump a bucket of water in a hole, time, how long it took, and they dug a ditch and, I mean, that's, in 1974, they changed all that. They established a seasonal high water table and designed the system a foot above that.
Mhm.
So that's why, I mean, if it isn't installed correctly, you're putting it into the water system, which it'll still work, but at some point it's gonna malfunction.
Ellen, what was your reason for voting no?
Well, I talked to a not a soil evaluator, a person, forget where he is, I have the information at home, who studies septic systems and soil and things like that. And he just said that, the further back you are from a important resource like the ocean, which could have spawning fish or eelgrass or whatever, the better. Said it's always better to be further back because if something malfunctions, it takes longer for it to get somewhere where it could cause trouble. And I reported that to the planning commission and gave them a copy of his email or letter or whatever I received. But West did further study and convinced the members of the planning commission that 100 feet was adequate. I went with what I learned, and I've done conservation work here for like 30 years. So I just feel like the more, the further back you keep anything that could be a problem, the better. I know it's harder for people, but
Well, sorry, you finished, I want to interrupt you.
no.
Well, so to that last point, I was going to ask how much of a,
Burden.
how many permits have, how many projects have had to be scrubbed because of that 25 feet difference over the years?
What it often does is, if you're in a place where, in residential one zone, for instance, you only need to be 100 feet from the water for a house.
Mhm.
If you have to be 125 for the septic, that means you're pumping back to the septic generally. And when you add a pump to the system, you're asking for trouble. The pump, it's not a matter of if it's gonna malfunction, it's a matter of when.
Eventually, yeah.
And it was interesting, I was talking with Colin Clark, who's the head of the shoreline zoning at the DEP. And when, and I mentioned that to him, and he says, we have a family cottage, and he says, I have to go up this weekend because our sewer pump malfunctioned, and we got renters coming, and it's like you're adding a machine into a system that would otherwise be gravity feed, and so, I mean, I actually see it as perhaps causing more trouble than it's helping, and I'm not aware of any system that has ever malfunctioned because it was 100 feet from the water. And I don't think that Brent Lawson is either.
We don't have systems that are 100 feet from the water.
But we have them that are 102 and 105. I mean, I put in a system with a variance up on Old Harbor that's 25 feet from the shore. And it has been in and used year round, and it isn't malfunctioning. The biggest thing is that they be put in correct. That was an existing house that had an overboard discharge, and the state will do anything to rectify that problem. So they allowed a system to be designed that didn't go overboard. But you can only do that for existing houses that have a malfunctioning system. For new construction, you have to currently go back 125. But I think 125, I actually think that we're causing more trouble than we're saving. Because, I mean, there is no data that says the extra 25 feet makes any difference.
Well, that was then, you guys keep on making my point, just as I'm about to say it, but I'm gonna ask, if it fails and when it fails, as they all do fail eventually, will the extra 25 feet really matter very much? Especially near water where it's already sloping down
Brent
anyway.
seemed to think it was a matter of days that it would make a difference. Where, again, he said that it was really important that our code enforcement officer, our plumbing inspector, make sure that they're being installed correctly. And again, the easiest thing to do is to stick them further in the ground. So
Yeah.
going out there and having a transit or a leveling,
I'd be more worried about sticking anything further in the ground anywhere on this island. It's already hard enough to
You're not gonna
get,
get down very deep.
you're already have to
but it's
struggle
like,
with.
it's, I sold a property a couple of years ago, and it was, we had a septic inspection, and it was borderline. The guy, Reggie from Interstate Septic come out, and, they dug down and said, there shouldn't be water here. He said, it isn't malfunctioning, but it's very close. And I think that the system was put in by a mainland contractor as the house was built by them. And I think they stuck it in the ground too far. I think that's why it was competing with the groundwater.
Well, the other thing, how many new constructions are we gonna have in the shoreline zone?
Oh, quite a few.
There are
I mean,
that
I think
many?
I think generally, many of the new permits are gonna be in the shoreline zone.
Well, eventually, there's gonna be no more shoreline zone built on, so.
That's right.
But the acreage is, the largest acreage in the shoreline zone is 3 acres. You could have a lot of places on the shore unless the acreage requirements were larger. It's only 250 feet back. The shoreline zone, within that acreage.
So if you
So
have to
it
be
is
255 feet from the water to build a house, why would you want to have your septic 100 feet away from the water? That'd be
Right.
150 feet from the house. I don't understand what I
Yeah.
have to do with traffic anyway.
It's only 20, I mean, again, I don't have an issue with it. It has to go before the town anyway,
Right.
so. we'll
But
let
it
them know.
is also our job, sometimes if a recommendation isn't prudent,
Right.
you don't give the town the opportunity to vote on it, as
Well,
hard as
I
that
mean,
is to say, but
If
you know,
the rest of the
that
state
is
is,
that is a thing.
if the rest of the state is 100 feet, why should we be 125?
Maybe another question, maybe the next question in would be, other coastal communities have this 125 feet or more?
No, but we are the only.
We are
one in
the only
whole-
one in the
In the
state of
whole
Maine.
state of Maine.
I'm shocked by that. I mean,
I am too. Is that so?
I don't,
Yeah.
No.
I call it the Gigi rule. She wanted it.
You blame everything on
I don't. I blame what, what she
I'll call
deserves.
Gigi and ask her.
Yeah, well,
It comes across as a simple way to make it better, but it's really not. And again, I think to start with the idea that people, when they build a house, they generally want to be as close as they can.
So,
When I
well,
sold
that's
people,
obvious.
that's
but
not
I mean, when I sell a piece of property, I try to get people to move back. I said, you can put your house in the best part of your property, and in the summer, you won't have it. Move it. I mean, you ought to move it back if you can.
Well, then you're defeating your argument.
No,
because
the
of
septic system can go in your front yard, and you can have your tennis court on top of it.
well,
But it just, there is no scientific information that I'm aware of that says that 25 feet is helpful.
But
Is
the
it-
septic
is it-
system's 125 feet back, then the house goes behind it, then the house is further
No, the
back.
people, if they can be, if they try to get as close as they can, and they pump to the septic. And you don't want them to pump to the septic.
So,
You
okay,
can't
so-
help it.
All right,
we could talk about this, for obviously
Welcome
for
to the
days.
planning commission.
But, I don't know if we can use this as legal justification for writing an ordinance, but what if we want to make sure it's not too easy to build in the shoreline zone just for overall
Well, there's already.
care? I mean, yeah, there already are a lot, but there's also an awful lot of area that isn't developed in the shoreline zone, and hey, I love everybody in this room loves the tax dollars that come from, valued from very
Yeah.
valuable real estate,
Yeah.
but
I see my job on the planning commission, of trying to make sense out of the zone, not trying to be difficult, not trying to make it harder, just for the hell of it. I mean, you want to make sure the things you do, you're taking away people's rights when you're limiting what they can do. You gotta make sure they're smart. You want to make good decisions.
Well, if we change it from 125 to 100 and people don't put in their systems correctly,
Well, what
What
if
does
you
that
just
do to the
changed
town?
it for like the smaller zones and left the other one alone because they already have to build further away? That would be like splitting the baby, wouldn't it? I don't know.
I just don't see any meaningful help that the 125 piece does.
and
And I do see, because it will force more people to pump.
Well, that just gives our local plumbers extra work. I already have to pump mine, so I don't give a crap. I'm septic in, I had to do this crap, so I don't think it should change because I already paid for it, so.
Well,
And I've had to change my pump once in 10 years.
certainly if you're 200, the setback's 250 feet,
No, that's
That's
not
not the
the setback, that's the
setback.
shoreline zone.
That's the
Yeah.
definition of the shoreline zone.
right, but Jake's point was the 250 feet, you'd want your septic to be closer than 100. You'd want it to be 125 because you wouldn't have so far to,
Well, they put it wherever they needed to.
right.
I think a lot of it goes to where you can put it anyway. you know.
Well, it's, the average, when I was doing it, you're lucky to find one soil test every 5 acres. Every once in a while you find an area like Idaho Mountain where I did a subdivision with John Airy and we got 10 tests on 14 acres, but that was really exceptional. That was because of the gravel that was there.
honestly, I don't think I know enough about construction, especially new construction and, installation of these systems to make a really informed vote on whether or not it's a good idea.
Well, that's why we have the planning commission to give us these ideas, so.
How often do they have to be inspected?
Well, the
When
biggest
they're
thing is they get
installed.
inspected when they're installed.
Correct, I understand that,
And
but
other
do they
than
have
that-
to be inspected
No,
ever? Again, it's just they might have to be pumped out or whatever,
They tend to be inspected when property changes hands. All my clients get
Yeah.
septic inspections.
right?
There's a guy from Jet Bridges coming tomorrow inspecting.
Okay.
He's a very good guy at Interstate.
all right,
Reggie,
so
yeah, he is.
in terms
I
of,
mean, I would think when they wrote this rule 25 years ago, the septic tanks probably, systems weren't as good as they are to
Right.
contain things as they are now too, so maybe they wanted to set it back a little bit to contain, but now we have town sewer that's helping out on a lot of these things. So probably 100 feet is probably, that's what the state says. I mean, we should just, whatever, make it easier for all the people that have to come out here and work. If that's what the planning commission, isn't that what we have them for?
Yeah.
If it was unanimous, I just think, I mean.
Well, wasn't, that was
It was
one
nearly-
that was not unanimous.
It was nearly, that's,
No, I didn't say it
Ellen
was
voted
unanimous,
against
but
no, Ellen is opposed to the change.
Big deal.
No, well,
Well, I mean, I don't know, we're talking, so
Not-
we've been
not
talking
every
about this for a
decision
long
is
time,
unanimous.
so, and we're not even making the final decision, I guess if.
No,
the
but it would be nice
townspeople
to be able to have something that you could say, some insight
justify
to
the
just,
decision.
right.
Well, I mean,
I think we
that-
have something that
The
we can
state, the
present.
state already has it at 100 feet.
Right, the
Plus,
state has it.
I would think the planning commission said so, and
Hopefully there'll be people that show up at town meeting that
We'll ask
are,
questions.
are a real wealth of information on this subject and, you know.
All right, moving on, unless there are other questions on the changes.
Would you put this, again, tonight's special town meeting is a little disappointing, but I would think that this would be better at a special town meeting than at the regular town meeting.
I agree.
But-
That's fine.
But I really hope that at least a couple dozen people show up.
We have to,
No.
we have to post this, what, a week in advance?
A week in advance, yeah.
Yeah, well, no, you have to have scheduled at least 2 public hearings,
Two
the
public
timing
hearings.
of which are specific. One is, I think, at least 30 days before the special town meeting, and one is a different timing.
Well, we
So
can-
would you like Darlene and I, to start working on scheduling the public hearings?
Yeah, well, we can't have one before the 30 days out because we're already 3 weeks from that, correct?
Well, no, no, you
30
do it
days
next
out from
meeting.
what?
From the
No,
town, the
we're-
annual town meeting?
we're not having it at the annual town meeting, I don't think. I
Yeah,
don't
we're
think
not-
that
yeah,
was what
we're
we're
not
talking
I
about.
thought you said we have to have it before the.
No, no,
no.
Before the annual town meeting. Okay,
I
sorry.
apologize. No, you just have, the public hearing has to be held. I think I don't know if this is right. I think the first public hearing has to be at least 30 days before the meeting that you're voting at,
Right.
whether
Gotcha.
it's an
Okay,
annual
gotcha,
or a
gotcha,
special. And then there's a second public hearing. And then, of course, the reason you have a public hearing is to talk about things, and then but if people want to make changes to the amendments, then you kind of start all over again.
Then you have to have
Yeah,
another
Another one.
public hearing,
Right, to
Right.
go over.
where
it.
nothing
Yeah.
is decided.
So you need to start the
Yeah.
process.
Yes, so let's start the process.
And do you want these public hearings to be like before your selectmen's meetings usually? Is that,
Mhm. Yeah, we usually have them
Okay.
the same day, same time.
okay. So we'll just start the process.
Okay.
The only way you're gonna get a lot of people is if you say it's about moorings or the airport, I guess.
Well,
Those are
we're
the
gonna
only people-
institute
those are
a-
the only things
a
I've
mooring
seen.
fee.
Honestly, yeah, put some
mooring
mooring
fee.
fees, put some mooring
Biggest
fee
meeting ever.
suggestions in
I
somewhere.
know.
there.
Or the
And then
airport
say, oh,
thing
by the
on
way,
there,
we're just
there'll be a
kidding
bunch
about
of people.
that, but why you're
Yeah,
here.
yeah, while you're here, we got this. Well, that'd be- Those are the only two groups it seems like anyone showed up for in the last couple of years.
The airport was pretty.
That's what I said, the airport and the mooring things, yeah, I said those two.
It's gonna be hard to read through that online,
What?
That ordinance.
Through that?
that,
The
yeah.
planning
I'd rather have a
commission
hard copy,
did
but
one
that's a lot of
having to
paper.
do with helicopters. We looked at a couple other towns and kind of modeled it after that. And then just got so it almost
Sounds like
seemed
a
like it was
dog.
against the law to
Yeah.
parachute onto them.
All right,
I have no idea where it came from.
let's go back to 7,
D,
we'll go to 7D, Housing Committee.
Oh, goody, thank you. So I just wanted to give you an update.
Thank you.
Thanks, Wes.
Thank you.
We've been in touch with Jason. He had offered to come out and talk about housing. I was gonna try to put something in the wind. The housing committee would like to have just a public gathering, not an official meeting or anything, but just a gathering, just to tell people, if anybody would show up, what we've learned so far, what options there might be, that there is one person, one company that's interested in building out here. We reached out to 5. There's one, that there's grant money available, and we're hoping to be able to do something, in the near future. And really what we want to know is, we did the assessment, but we know that everybody who needs housing didn't fill out housing assessment survey. So it would be really great if people who really need housing desperately would come to a meeting and tell us what they need. Are they families with children? Are they single people? Are they elderly couples whose homes just aren't working for them anymore and are unaffordable? If we could just get a sense from people directly, what they need, and that's sort of what we'd like to do. So I asked Darlene if there was a date that we could use this room, if that's all right with you. It's Wednesday, the 22nd. And, maybe no one will show up, but Jason said he was willing to come out and do a presentation on what they've done elsewhere and answer questions. And I just thought it would help, well, it would make the housing committee look like we're actually doing something, and I think it would inform the community more.
Yeah,
But I wanted to make sure it was okay with you
What time
all.
of day are you having the
Sorry.
meeting?
I thought like 5 o'clock.
Okay.
That seems to be when people come
Oh,
to
that-
meetings.
Yeah, no, I was just curious. You said Wednesday, the 22nd.
I don't have a problem with that.
Or I mean, it could be later, Jake, if you think it's.
No, I think 5 o'clock is probably a
That's
good
probably
time.
a good time.
Is that a good
Yeah.
time?
I would
Yeah.
think.
Okay,
I mean, you don't want to do it too much later than that.
No,
No.
Or too much earlier.
Yeah,
Or
no,
two,
well,
yeah.
that's why I was wondering if they were gonna do it at noon time. It would. come
Right.
what he
anyway.
wanted to do, he said, I want to get back on the boat, that's not happening. We don't have meetings like that here, this is not, we're not all in.
Wednesday, the
offices. People are
22nd.
working.
I mean, so he's planning on attending live.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and I, make a presentation, which I guess he can do with a laptop and the screen.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, well, that sounds great.
Oh,
Yeah.
good, thank you.
Would you mind sending a reminder email, please?
Leslie,
Oh, is she speaking to me?
yes.
Yes.
Or
A
someone.
reminder about the meeting?
Yes, please.
Okay, well, we're gonna have a big ad in the wind, because I think we'll only be able to advertise once.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I'll make a note to send you a reminder. Thank you, Leslie.
Thanks, Ellen.
Thank you.
All right. Move to 7A, Director of Public Works Report.
It's Millie.
Millie time.
There it goes. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Millie.
So I have some things that I want to discuss as far as the downtown project and the dump project go. So I'm going to hold that off until that comes up in the agenda. But I will just fill you in on what's going on now. We're continuing with ditching and drainage and grading. I'm hoping that in the next week or so, we should be finished up with grading altogether. The line stripers are supposed to be here soon. They, when I spoke to him a couple weeks ago, he wasn't willing to give me an exact date, but said it should be in a few weeks. So to nail down an exact time, I cannot do that yet, but he is planning on, he said he would be here in June. I'm gonna have our crew go out and do crosswalks next week. I was going to do it tomorrow, but it's supposed to rain, so we're gonna skip it for tomorrow. And I will get them on it first of next week to get Main Street taken care of. Let's see here. Question for you folks. I know in the budget, we talked about a dump truck. Should I be looking now for a dump truck where they're hard to come by, or how would you like me to proceed there?
Did we approve it?
I don't know if you're,
Or is it coming out in
Is
this?
it in the budget?
That's
I
what I
mean,
mean.
in
Is it for the
the town.
next, is it for the next, in the
It's-
next budget?
yes,
Or multiple things.
Yes, I
Muscle
remember
piece
which
of
one
equipment,
we
but I can't
approved.
remember which one we said was approved.
Have to have the budget for that, yeah.
I thought it was not the dump truck, but
the pickup.
There's also-
yeah, the pickup.
The pickup truck, I believe was next year, or maybe vice versa. However, I think the dump truck is probably going to be more needed. I'm really concerned with putting a wing back on the 550
Mhm.
after the frame's been welded. I'm not sure how it'll hold up. It may be fine, but I really hate to find out in the middle of the winter. I thought the dump truck was this year and the pickup was either next year or the year after. Yep.
Yeah, I meant to bring my budget.
I'll have to look. We don't,
Yeah, but it might not have the almost updated
No, it's
information.
probably not, but I just didn't know if it was on the list. or something.
If it was on the
Because-
list, but
that brings me to the next thing of the pickup truck. Although it's got a significant amount of rot in the body, I think I have an estimate here and a proposal for a aluminum body bed to be put on for a total of $4,000. If we took the body off that truck and put one of those on, we could probably get a few more years out of that truck. And then the body can come off it and go on another cab and chassis. And I think it would be more useful and would hold up better against sand, salt, and be more useful for what we're doing. To have the flatbed on the pickup versus a pickup truck. So ponder that.
Is that something that we
Ponder,
could,
please.
in equipment, the equipment reserve within the public works
All the
department?
repairs.
Would that be available for this budget?
I don't know if we've spent all the money or not.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know what the repairs line. looks
Although
like.
it probably wouldn't come through,
We were doing next year's money anyway, but
well,
Right.
if you had funds left over in that account.
tread carefully and remember, this is the truck that was taken to the mainland just to drive because
Right.
it gets gunked up, the diesel
Right.
gets
Right.
gunked up.
Right.
Whoever thought buying a diesel,
Because aren't we supposed to be replacing that soon anyway with the
Mhm.
gas engine?
yeah. It's not electric before too much longer.
That's the one she's talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
250, yeah.
Why, I guess, you want me to just pause there while she looks at that, or?
That was what's in the budget, but I don't know if that helped at all.
I don't know if we approved it though.
That's the thing, I can't remember
Yeah.
if we approved it.
Public Works Vehicle Reserve. You put 50, oh wait,
We might put some significant money in the reserve, but I don't know. I
There
don't
was
think-
some money from last year in a reserve, and with this year's money, I thought they said that I thought it was figured that with that and possibly selling the 8,500 or trading it,
So
that we would be able to
zero.
do it for almost nothing on us.
I don't know, I couldn't remember I don't think we created the bond article
I don't-
about it. I don't think so. Through that budget process was so. Yeah, yes,
Right.
that's the word I'm looking for, smooth.
I mean, this is when we did gas and oil at $3.25 a gallon, which right now, $5 doesn't look like it's enough.
Oh, dear.
At least we did.
It
go
says,
back
it
up.
says in the thing, appropriate money in this fiscal year to purchase a new dump truck to replace the 8,500 within 2 years.
Yeah,
A smaller four-wheel drive 6,500 is recommended because anyone can recommend that. I mean, anyone can drive that, sorry.
but you didn't put any money in the, new money in the reserve. Is there money already in there?
The balance sheet for reserve account somewhere in that book. There is somewhere. There is, but I didn't find it. I said this is gonna be a quick meeting when I walked out the door.
Says we were putting 25,
Yeah, we've been putting money in it for years now.
but I don't know what the
It
actual.
says there's only 60,000 Public Works Equipment Reserve at the end of June 20, right now.
is that in the budget book?
Public Works Vehicle Reserve, we have 25. So
Capital projects, maybe?
Well, what I have is that there's about
Yeah, there'll be about
60,000 in the reserve, but you didn't put any new money in.
But there's well, Eric has a note here of 25. So that there would be 84. So I don't know.
Well, if you could sell the other one, I guess that's enough.
Yeah, I'm sure. my
But
notes
that's what it said was, it was,
Okay,
Put
or anything
25.
terrible in it. I said plus, yeah, you want, so we talked about this. If we put 25 more on July 1,
We'd be at 84.
yeah.
Okay.
So does that mean we did and you wrote it down?
We
Well,
approved
You wouldn't write it down if we didn't approve it, right?
it's in the budget,
Yeah,
in my budget.
the 25.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Because I remember we had a discussion about whether or not to do it this year or next year. As in, sorry, the fiscal year that begins July 1.
Right.
What it says,
22, we're waiting until the fiscal year that begins 23. I can't remember though what we,
Well, this,
but at any rate, Millie, I'd say just hold off for a minute. You know,
Okay.
what's another couple weeks gonna do anyway? It's gonna
Nope,
take forever.
That's fine. Like I said, it's just things that are on my mind about truck shortages and such that I kind of want to just be aware of and thinking about if we are going to do it before winter.
it says 150,000 is required at current prices for this truck, approximately is what they have written here, so
Mhm.
we have half, I
think
don't
I
know how much the
remember.
other one's worth, doesn't sound like it's worth the other half.
no,
Maybe we're gonna be waiting another year.
And then,
Thought I remembered something in the packet at one point that Andy had, there was pictures of different types of trucks that
Right.
we could.
yeah, the 6,500 was, because anyone could buy it, that's what we were gonna
Mhm.
try and get down.
It's
to a
also, it's
55.
probably also better suited for a lot of the roads here.
Yeah, they got,
Hmm.
well, I don't know if that 150,000 was for an 8,500 or 6,500.
I was pricing them and they are coming right around 100 to 105, 110
For the 6,500.
for 6,500 or 650, whichever Chevy or GM or Ford product. Yeah, they're I think the most expensive I saw was about 118, but again, that's without plow gear
right.
or just a regular, Fisher plow on it, which is not what we want, so. I would say that, yeah, when it's all said and done, it will probably be about 150. I will just hold on that end, and that also answers the question about the 8,500. If we're gonna sell that or trade it, we probably ought to price that out, but I'll hold that as well.
Yeah, there is an additional 50,000 on
Into the public works reserve.
the, to go
Okay.
into it.
Oh, okay.
50,000 this year, so we'd be up to 110.
Yeah.
Sell the 8,500 and we've got a truck.
I think that must have been our plan, right? We get that approved,
Mhm.
sell the other one, should have enough to get a new one with the gear.
Well, it's such a great idea. It must have been mine.
Yes, definitely. So once we have the special town meeting, we'll know what was approved, or not, and then we can move forward with looking for replacing that for next
Sounds
year.
great. Sounds great. Thank you.
Okay.
And then the other thing, I know that I'm hearing a lot of rumble about people worried about their street signs. I ordered street signs 2 weeks ago. I believe I ordered 16 brand new signs that have been lost or stolen. So those should be, I would think that they would be here either late this week or early next week. They said 2 to 3 weeks, so those should be coming in. As soon as they do, we'll head out and start getting those back together.
Okay.
I've also ordered signs to go at both Lawson's and Booth's to replace the wooden ones that are broken with just the quarry rules on them.
Okay.
And then finally, on the mowing contract, I reviewed the mowing contract a few weeks ago, just prior to Andy leaving. Wondering if my name, or not necessarily my name, but the Public Works Director should be mentioned in there as one of the people overseeing the work, along with the
Yeah.
town manager or the select board. I think
Sorry, so you get-
it's in my job description to alleviate that from the town manager's plate.
Okay, so you added that in.
I added that.
Okay,
I gave Jensen a copy and he hasn't come back yet, so.
let's hope he does. So that's it for me for right now.
Millie, I have just one question
Yes.
about the trash cans that you're gonna put.
The-
You're gonna put Lawson's on the roadside and just see how it goes?
Yes. I have not yet, but I will do that, PM. That one absolutely slipped my mind.
And also I had a request that you could check the one at Booth's to empty out. I think there's one there, or will be there,
Okay,
but can that be included in the trash pickup?
of course,
Okay, great, thanks.
absolutely. Written down,
Good, thank you.
you bet.
Anyone else?
Anything else for me at this time?
I don't think so. Thank you, Millie.
All right, thank you.
All right, 7B engineer report. 7B1 downtown project designs.
We have that. There's extra copies in my folder. I don't know if that's in your packet or not.
And Lizzie, I'm gonna do a screen share here too. And I guess I would ask Megan, and I think Brent is sort of on standby. He's multitasking. Megan and board, does it matter where we start, transfer station versus downtown project?
Nope.
Do I have to do something, Gabe, to allow you to?
I think I can just go ahead and oh yeah, it says I cannot screen share while the other participant is sharing. So that must be you. So I think you have to stop your share and then I get to share. Okay. Okay, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna do a super fast just update on where things are at. And then we'll do the design overview and particularly focusing on the components from the memo that you received in your board packet. So just real quick, I know you all know this, but just a refresher, the project has 3 federal funders. So the latest is what is in orange, that's funded through the congressional earmark that we were notified of just this past April. We have our northern borders, and that was the grant that we were still seeking match for, which you at your last meeting voted to approve having that added to the warrant and getting that additional match from the general fund with the idea that we are still applying for a SHIP grant, which would then offset that request from the general fund. And then our first funder was EDA, Economic Development Administration. So the designs we're looking at tonight are primarily focused on the EDA components of the project, stormwater, some wastewater, climate adaptation upgrades, the sidewalks, the road, the water main. Those are the primary components we're focused on tonight. So I wanted to also just give you the quick overview of funding, and there's a lot of numbers here with a bunch of different breakdown, but I think we talked a little bit last time about what the town had contributed or will at the end of the day have contributed. So you'll see I added in red the 628 vote to approve the hopefully town approving the general fund request of $272,240. If we when we get that SHIP grant, I'm very positive when we get that SHIP grant, that will mean that the project out of general fund would be the balance then would be 22,240 that we would be at the end of the day having to take from the general fund. So altogether, at the end of the day, the town contribution is $1,467,000. If you look over in this little box over here to the right, you'll see the breakdown of what we have in grants, our partner Vinalhaven Water District, their contribution to the water main portion of the project. So we have essentially 80% of the project being funded by non-town funds and 20% being funded by the town. So I think that's a really good, the 20/80 breakdown is a very, that's what we want to see. So I just wanted to give you that overview. And I think just a quick where we're at, nothing has changed since the last time we talked to you. Our hope was that we'd have our designs like all wrapped up by now and approved. We're not quite there, but we're just moving forward. Very close to hopefully getting everything out to EDA and MDOT to have them do design review. So we definitely want to plan to put the project out to bid as soon as we can, as soon as we get that approval, with the idea that we would want to start the water main portion of the project this fall. So I'm gonna jump off of this screen share, and then we're gonna look at the project designs with Megan. So one moment while I switch my screen share. Okay, so Megan, I will just wherever you want me to go, just direct me there. What we're looking at, everyone, is just the entire project scope. So this is the 0.6 of a mile for the project, or approximately the scope of the project. So.
All right. Thanks, Gabe. Can everyone hear me? Just want to make sure my mic's working. Thumbs up.
Gotcha. Yep.
Thank you. So I want to just kind of give an overview of the entire project. I think, Gabe, if you want to just jump to sheets as I mentioned them, it'll kind of be brief, and then we can focus in on any specific areas. But in general, the project includes improvements from the ferry terminal all along Main Street to Windy Way, as most of you know. We are proposing curbed sidewalk all the way on the north side from the ferry terminal to Windy Way. On the south side, we're proposing an at-grade multimodal lane that will go from the ferry terminal to the parking lot that's across from the grocery store. And then from there, we actually do transition to a curb sidewalk from there to Water Street on the south side. So that's how what we have on either side of the roadway all the way throughout the project. Down through the project, we are proposing all new drainage, all new storm drain to capture the stormwater runoff from about a 6-acre area. And we have several different outlets designed for those to help facilitate and get the water off the surface as quickly as possible. As far as pedestrian movement throughout the site, we are proposing several new crosswalks. I think you can see a couple here. We have 2 that are raised crosswalks. Those will be the ones in front of the grocery store, as well as the Tidewater that Gabe is highlighting. Then we have several other crosswalks throughout the site put at strategic locations, specifically things like intersections and areas where people might need to transition from one side of the street to the other. I will say one crosswalk we haven't shown, but we know it is needed, and we are looking at adding, is one in front of the fish plant parking lot and where the food truck is. We understand with the sidewalk being on the north side of the road and the need for people and the want for people to go to the food truck and things like that, we will look at adding a crosswalk in that area to address that area and that usage. So those are the sidewalks we're proposing. With respect to the sidewalks, all the sidewalks are going to be ADA compliant, which will make them more accessible. We are also going to trying to the best of our ability to improve access to all of the buildings, specifically down from High Street to Windy Way, where a lot of the buildings are very close to the edge of the sidewalks. We are trying to eliminate as many steps as possible, trying to bring sidewalks so they are flush up to door sills to make accessibility improved. And where we can't do that, we're putting in things like ADA accessible ramps and stuff like that, all in a hope to improve mobility throughout the area. As you'll see, again, from High Street to Windy Way on that north side of the street, we have on-street parking. That's similar to what you guys have now We are extending it about 4 more spaces past Clamshell Alley to Windy Way. And you'll see also there, we have these, what we call bump outs on the sidewalk. That's where the sidewalk gets wider, where the crosswalks are. That's a pedestrian safety thing. It allows the pedestrians to come and stand out to the face of the parked cars so that they can see the traffic coming, so that they shorten their distance for where they cross the street, and just make sure they have clear visibility of cars coming, and cars have clear visibility of the pedestrians that are crossing there. In addition, I mentioned the drainage, all new drainage we're putting there. We are also replacing the 100-year-old water main from Windy Way to High Street that Gabe mentioned. I will say the 4 new crosswalks, or 4 new parking spots right there on the north side of the street between Clamshell Alley and Windy Way does mean we've lost the space to add any on-street parking on the south side of the street. However, the new layout that we do have there has improved site visibility for vehicles. We've been able to kind of improve the mobility through that site, given sidewalks there. We've definitely improved the accessibility into those buildings by having the sidewalk be either at grade to the doors or providing some relatively easy ramps that can get rid of a lot of the stairs we had previously. We've also tried to, with the layout of the curb, improve the alignment of the Water Street and the Clam Street intersection so that they come and it's more of a perpendicular intersection. Again, these are all targeted to improve safety and visibility for both vehicles and pedestrians, since these are high interaction points there. So in addition to that, we are going back out, as Gabe mentioned, we're making lots of advancement on their design, constantly tweaking the layout to make sure we're getting everything perfect. We will be out on site. We have a couple of our team members who are going to be on the island on Monday. They're going to be focusing on GPS locating and tying all the outfalls into our survey, so we know exactly where they are and we can set all those elevations, finalize them. They are also going to be looking at all of the doors and thresholds to make sure that we can continue to try to refine and get rid of as many of those steps as possible, so that the sidewalks tie in, so we can keep them ADA compliant as required by the funding, but also try to put as much improvement there. So we will be checking every single door while we're out there. In addition, we will be spray painting the roadway right here in this area between Clamshell Alley and Water Street. And we are going to paint out where the curb lines are on the north side, where the on-street parking lane is on the north side, where the curb is on the south side, so that for anyone who's interested, they can see how it's all going to fit in that area right there. So I'm going to slow down and stop for a minute and see if there's any specific questions on these areas.
Parking on that corner across from the sandbar. It's giving a lot of sideswiped vehicles.
Did you hear that?
Hence why we're gonna map it out, hopefully, so folks can hopefully visualize what that might look like. I know we are on a Zoom this morning, and that was raised. I think it's just really hard for us to see it because we're seeing the road where everything is right now. But yes, that's why we wanted to mark it out.
I will say that's part of the bump outs on the sidewalks are for, as much as they are to bring pedestrians out so they can see. It also does provide some protection and barrier for those on-street parking vehicles there. So hopefully we've pulled the travel lanes out. They have to go around these bump outs, which keep them out and around the on-street parking areas.
But the 2 cars in the middle are still gonna have to walk one way or the other because the curb is like 3 feet high beside the cars, right? I mean, we're not changing the height of the curb on the north side, are we? Because then you'd have to, I mean, isn't it, am I not wrong, isn't it pretty?
It's high, it's a high.
6 days
curve.
high.
That's
Yeah, so I mean, those people are gonna have to walk against the flow of traffic or with the flow of traffic to get to a spot where they can even get up on the sidewalk.
So I will say we are redoing the grading in that area, and it will be the step onto the curb will be your standard 7-inch curb reveal. So by doing some of the changement in the alignment and changing some of the cross sloping of the road, we will have on both the north side and the south side, we will have your standard 7-inch step up. So you won't have an unusual, uncomfortable, awkward, 14-inch step, 2-inch step, that thing. We are trying to standardize the curbs all along the site, so it's consistent in your mobility around.
So how does that work with the like salt so high
Yeah.
up or
Access.
whatever?
The
How does
what?
the access to those buildings?
Like where the gallery and salt or whatever's gonna go in there, they're very high.
Right, so how are you,
And if you lower that curbing down to 7 inches,
yeah, how does that work? I just don't, I can't.
Oh, the
picture it.
entryway to the building.
Yeah.
Yeah, I-
Entry to the buildings.
I mean, I can see you could lower it, but then how do you get in the building? That's what I just don't understand, I guess.
Yeah, I would say we're reducing the curb reveal by actually bringing the road up. So instead of, because we're low on the high side, the south side of the street as well, in front of the sandbar and island closet. So we're actually going to just change the whole grade of the road in that area to help reveal some of those offsets where we're low in front of, where we have really tall curb reveals or where we have multiple steps to get into a building. We're changing the whole grade of the center line of the road in that area to help reduce those offsets.
Okay.
So we're working from the buildings and trying to tie in there as best we can. And then we're making the adjustments in the road where we can to reduce those grading changes.
Okay.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I'm probably
It's like
interested
a
to see what the spray paint
see it
looks
sprayed
like,
out.
at least get a.
and there'll also be like a sidewalk in front of the sandbar.
Yes, there will. It will be actually quite wide.
Right.
Yep.
So I'm just trying to visualize having a sidewalk in front of the sandbar, 2 lanes of traffic and parking spots on that corner. That just seems, I gotta see it marked out.
Yeah, it's hard to visualize.
Very.
Yeah.
Well, I
that.
understand what you're thinking because of that corner, but it's just as horrible to have people park in front of the
They
sandbar
shouldn't be parked there
because
right now.
they park there
I
and
thought it was no parking.
It's
there.
not
is.
supposed
It's
to
not
be any
supposed
There's
parking.
only one small section, it's no parking, it's right at the corner. of
Yeah, there's
one
like
street.
2 car
But
spaces
even
there.
the,
or
even the
whatever.
spots there now, we shouldn't have people parked.
I mean,
there.
people open the doors when
Yeah.
you're going by and it is,
Yeah,
it's dangerous.
They shouldn't be parking there right now.
That's right.
So I guess too, I wanted to just, maybe I'll go, well, I guess we can leave the screen share on if there's particular design pages you want to look at, but just with the memo that was presented, we did share 2 issues that have come up with stakeholders. One is losing, and again, the parking ordinance states there's no parking within 26 feet of the corner here. So there is no parking here. And then the parking ordinance also states there's no parking here. So technically there is a little spot here, I guess, that the parking ordinance doesn't mention. Parking ordinance says no parking on clamshell. So just keeping all of that in mind. So one of the issues was not just parking, but access. Like, how do people then like pull up and, store owners, how do they make deliveries here? I don't think it's as much of an issue for the sandbar because deliveries are made on this side of the street. But this building in particular does not have access from the back. That's one thing we're sort of talking with the business, that we want to talk with the building owner about. So that has been an issue, just to say that. And so that was one of the things we put in your memo just for your consideration. And the other is down at the terminal where we've been in conversation from pretty much, I would say, the days of the master plan with the co-op. Just talking about, what is needed for the co-op to be able to, easily access their parking and not have a sidewalk here really interfere with their operations. So one of the things that was talked about was making sure that the number of parking spaces in here can be maintained, that there's the ability to plow snow from one side of the street to the other. And one thing we had talked about to help with that too was to angle the curbing here, so that if needed, it could be driven over. So I just wanted to share those, considerations with you, so and if you wanted to talk about them or weigh in on them. And then I know that Millie is on. One of the other things that has come up from some stakeholders is really being proactive in our maintenance and operations plan around maintaining certain elements of this. Well, I say certain elements, but particularly certain elements such as the stormwater system, that it's only going to be as effective as we are able to maintain it. So there's a lot of great improvement here, but a lot of it does require that the town has a solid maintenance and operation plan to ensure that it is in good functioning order. So Millie, I know you're on here, so I don't want to take away what you want to say about that.
Yeah, first of all, just why we're on it, some of the test site drilling holes on Main Street have opened up. Surprise, surprise. So I'll be patching those on and off, but if you hear about it from somebody calling or whatever, then don't worry, we're on it. That being said, maintaining the system is a concern, simply because the street sweeper that comes over annually no longer has a vacuum system. He was not able to do any catch basins this year for us. And I mean, we need to do this probably 1 to 2 times a year, clean those catch basins out, to be proactive in keeping them well maintained and working correctly. And then the other thing that was spoken about that I recall was jetting all of the lines leading to the catch basins. So these are things that we really need to look at and think about, and have be prepared in the budget coming up even next year, even though it's a late for 2023. But knowing that the street sweeper does not have a vacuum, and just finding out about that kind of put a stop on me real quick. So we need to consider what we're going to do there, because it is imperative that we keep the system running correctly, so that it lives a long time.
Is there someone else we can hire to come out and sweep the streets that does have a vacuum on the street sweeper I used to have?
I don't know. I mean, I will certainly, look around and see what there is out there for possibilities.
That seems like it's
I mean,
kind of an
that's-
important thing to have on a street sweeper, and if he doesn't have one, maybe we should try.
We should try to find
if
someone else who does.
possible,
Yeah,
we should try and find someone that does have one, I
Right.
guess, is all I'm saying.
I mean, that's
Yep.
the first, that'd be the obvious solution, right?
Or,
Find someone who has.
I mean, I'm guessing there's still gonna be
Yeah,
other things that we're gonna need to have, but
right,
like, we should try and get that done twice a year as
Yeah.
we had been, but if
Yeah.
he didn't do it now,
right. We're gonna need it later this
Yeah,
year
if
from
he,
somebody,
if this person isn't
Yeah,
up
I
for the
mean-
job, then we're gonna have to.
right?
figure something out.
Gabe, when I met with Brent, the Fox Island Co-op had mentioned having a sidewalk on the north side. They weren't sure if that was gonna work for that building they have, like, that's across from the fish plant parking lot. Have they raised any further concerns about that?
Yeah, so I've been messaging with Amy, and she was on our call this morning. I think I will follow up with her, but the way I left it with her was really wanting to get, the board's thought on, the recommendation from the design team as to have the sidewalk on the north side of the road, and not to do any alternative to that sidewalk from the terminal up past or up to Dolphin Street, which, at one point was a consideration. I think Amy is willing to work with the sidewalk being here, because the opening is significant. It works for for what they need, and the bunkers opening works for what they need. So I think we will follow up with her just to confirm that. But yes, I think they're willing to work with the sidewalk here.
Because I think it is better, the sooner people get on the sidewalk from the ferry, the better. And if you're not sending them from one side of the street to the other
Yeah, you can't.
multiple times, then it'll just make it,
No, whatever.
there should be
Cluster, you know
more,
what?
there should be more people actually using the sidewalk
Right.
in this
Yeah.
case.
Yeah, but yeah, definitely follow up. Thank you. You know, we want to make sure that, you know, last we want is a project to be a hindrance to
Right,
the stakeholders.
right.
And if we could go back to the fisherman's co-op section, you know, I want to know what this board feels like. I obviously wear two hats here because I'm on that co-op board.
Right.
And obviously that parking lot and a sidewalk there has been a point of contention for a while over the years. But so you know, there's one proposal of instead of just a flush, you know, a curve, one raised curve having like I don't know how to exactly, but like a graded curve essentially. And that means that the co-op can continue to, you know, have their operations, you know, and still improve pedestrian safety. Obviously now there's going to be a walkway there.
Right.
And it's going to be somewhat raised off the road. But it's going to look a little different.
But it wouldn't be like square curb that you couldn't drive over if you.
Right.
But the intention is not to have everyone just drive over it, it's so that we
Right.
can still.
Right. I mean, you know, so part of, you know, so that parking lot, obviously, you know, it's not like the town parking lot where it's constant in and out traffic either.
Right. There's a busy time in the morning and then.
Which isn't really a problem, you know,
Right.
generally there's not too much sidewalk activity at 4 o'clock in the
Right.
morning,
Right.
4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and then in the afternoon, people come in
At different
staggered
times,
anyway, you
right.
know, it's not like every single person that parks there comes in at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Right.
Well, you guys are all waiting in the harbor at 3 o'clock.
I hope.
And I think the intention too with the sloped or the angle to the curbing on the sidewalk is not so that it can be a free for all and people ignore the entrance and exit and drive over, but that if operations mandated that the equipment needed to drive over it, or for some reason, I think that was the sort of the primary reason to accommodate that section with the angled curbing. Because obviously, if safety is a top priority, we don't want to invite people to drive over the sidewalk, but
No.
it's really a way to, you know, like we've been trying to work with the co-op since, you know, and the co-op has been very accommodating with, you know, working with us on figuring out how to design this section that it will accommodate their needs. So
Kind of what equipment would need to drive over it?
Well, right off the bat, across the street, directly across the street with the building, the bait building, if you want to call it,
Yeah.
we have to put the snow someplace, and
Right.
we go across the road with it up to the back of the parking lot.
Okay. So the slope is gonna go from the road up?
Yes, yes.
So you would be going into the parking lot, not out of it?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. On the other side is where the
This is where you
curving
have
would be
the-
steeper.
So,
So no matter what, you know, I mean, honestly, if somebody was stupid enough to drive over a 7-inch curb with a pickup truck, you can do it.
true.
You know, it's not like, you know, don't worry,
My-
your truck does have the clearance to do
My
that.
question was more about
Just maybe we don't care about the truck, but
when and if equipment is used to go over the sidewalk, is the sidewalk gonna be able to handle that, or are we gonna end up having to repair it sooner than some of the other sidewalks that won't be driven?
when we plow current sidewalks,
There's no sidewalk there right now, right?
no, but you know, the existing sidewalks have snow removal
Right,
equipment.
but
you know.
you're going with the sidewalk and not like
Oh,
over it, you know what I mean?
you know, it's just that, you know, it's gonna be like a pickup truck or, you know,
Okay.
it's small, we don't have like a big truck like what Public Works has to plow our snow, obviously, you know.
Right. Okay. I mean, if the co-op agrees with this plan,
Why wouldn't you just put an opening down there instead of in a different spot so they could
That's
just
what I
push
was
it
thinking.
through
Let's
there?
just make the opening right across from the.
Right, if that's where they need the opening, why not put the opening there? That's my thinking, but that's all.
Would that be better?
Well, you mean, have an entrance and an exit,
No, you
No, but
have,
have,
The original,
instead of having, there's already,
but add another opening, you mean?
right, I mean, if they need a spot to plow through, why not give them a spot to plow through?
right, then you have the regular.
Instead of having
sidewalk.
them plow over a curb, because that's not easy on whoever's gonna be plowing it either, I would
Right.
think.
the
But that-
original plan or thought was, or consideration, I guess, was to put the opening of the parking lot for the co-ops directly across from the co-op, where the bait building is and such. That was the
Yeah.
original. I think if anything changed it, if I recall, it was something to do with visibility on the second was, am I right, Megan?
Yeah, you are supposed to, especially on state aid roads, have a certain amount of space between driveway cuts within the same property, from a visibility standpoint. But I mean, something as simple as shifting I think we stay with two curb cuts. If we need to look to see if we could shift them slightly, that's something we could look at again. I wouldn't recommend adding a third, though. I think we wouldn't be able to meet those spacing requirements of the curb cuts if we did that.
Right, I'm just thinking if you have just your standard sidewalk throughout, as opposed to having, just inviting the idea of people to drive over it, I feel like that could end up being abused, but.
And was there also, and maybe I'm misremembering this, but like having the locations of the entrances and exits here, having to do with maintaining the number of parking spaces that the co-op wanted. So to like shift them, I mean, yes, I think looking at shifting things if possible makes sense, but it also impacts, where vehicles can park. So I think that was also an issue.
But yeah, we also don't want to lose,
No, no,
during the busy season, that parking lot is
Maximum amount.
full.
no, yeah, I don't want to eliminate parking spots, but if we could revisit that, see if it's possible to
Okay.
move one of those. And then you could have
Good
your regular
luck.
sidewalk throughout.
Yeah. Okay. And then, I don't know if you have additional questions on this section or thoughts.
I don't, anyone else?
Okay, and was there anything else you want to weigh in on, the section? I know we're wondering how all of this is going to work, but, anything we had made, our recommendations for proceeding with this as is, and then, trying to trying to show how this will work. But I don't know if you also want to weigh in. I know some of you had said there should be parking here anyway, and we know there technically isn't parking right there, so.
She's new.
I didn't plug in the owl, I didn't unlock the window.
Sorry, having a little issue here with windows. Okay,
Yeah. I'll be interested to see the spray paint on that corner, but yeah. I mean, if it's gonna be a problem, I guess it'll be a problem, and we'll have to talk about that later, but for the time being, and I got an earful last night about that corner.
well, certainly you can always take
Yeah.
away the parking spots. You
Right.
can always
Right.
eliminate them, but
Right.
you
Give
can't
me-
add them. So let's look at it that way.
Wait, you got an earful about the current situation or the proposed?
About adding spots across the
Oh, I
roads in the same time, like, Jesus Christ, what are you thinking? Along those lines.
Well, again, we have to see it.
But, yeah,
before-
right. All right, transfer station.
All right, yes.
Okay, are we moving on?
Please. Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Okay,
It's okay.
Hour and a half here.
Oh, thank you. My long arms and clothes.
Picture of it like it is now.
We are away.
No, I just was up there. I know what it looks like. Oh, God. No, thank you, Marjorie.
Okay, good. So the parking lot, the parking spots are the correct one, right? You know, backing in,
Mhm.
yeah. What we talked about, and it looks.
Gabe,
there
are you
any-
gonna share are you sharing the transfer station plans?
We have.
You guys have hard copies, okay.
We do.
But I'd like to see it up on the screen too, like, so you, when you want to doodle
Is
on
it in
it,
the-
you know, we can.
I thought it was in the packet.
Thank you.
Sorry, I was sitting here thinking I was sharing it. So thanks for saying that, Megan. I had the wrong screen up. I apologize.
Thanks for sharing it. I don't have it in front, so thank you.
Okay, never mind. I found them.
I did talk to Kenny. He's would like to leave the recycling where it is. And he would like to keep most of the transfer like it is now. He doesn't agree with all the changes. But he does, the retaining wall is getting dangerous.
Yeah,
We
it
need
is.
to do something about that.
Right.
So whatever you're gonna do, we need to get that done.
Well, so we were presented with two options now a while ago. One was leaving the current format and replacing the retaining wall. And leaving pretty much everything exactly the same as it is now and repaving it. This project, I think, is about an estimated $150,000 more.
Yeah.
I mean,
But it just
but what
looks,
it does is hopefully going to improve flow in and out.
exactly.
You one way in, one
You
way
know,
out.
I mean, Sunday, when I went to the dump, I actually continued driving and went back because it was so bunged up.
Yeah, I agree, because you know, people are trying to get down into recycling, they're trying to get to the trash and the demo, and then they're going down the back to
Right.
go down in there, and it just ends up in a big cluster.
And it also meant if we were to go with that first option I talked about, just the paving and the retaining wall, you know, you have the exact same level of functionality you have now, and address the concerns that no matter what you do, have to be addressed now. You know, it has to be paved, has to be repaved, and the retaining wall has to be replaced. So, yeah, this was a contention at town meeting, and it was not a unanimous decision in last year's budget process amongst ourselves. But, you know, I'm gonna wonder when
That's the
bids come
pool.
in, if we even have enough money to do it anyway.
Right.
You know,
I mean, yeah,
I'm
we
I'm
planned on it.
terrified of what bids are gonna look like.
We planned
have
it
to ask you.
over a year ago.
Oh, Megan,
Much different world than it was a year ago.
Yes.
If I can, I do think that looking at the retaining wall and seeing the movement that happens when vehicles are near it, that this is something that probably should be addressed long before we even make a decision on what to do with the rest of the transfer station. It's scary. It's really being held up by the
container.
container in front of it. And when the container's not there, I mean, I watched, actually, it was the co-op's truck back in there the other day and the wall was moving. I had to turn around.
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah,
it was bad, and it was that bad. That might have been something that someone could have let us know.
So when this was presented last year at town meeting, was there a proposed design that kind of went with this?
Yes.
And that's this?
Pretty
Yes,
much.
you know, this
Been
is
tweaked a
almost-
little bit,
It's been very slightly tweaked, but this is,
pretty much the same.
yeah. Are there any changes, Megan, that I'm just not seeing because I don't know?
Yeah, so I mean, there are subtle changes based on some back and forth we've had. We've adjusted the alignment of the wall, the proposed wall slightly. Most of it was you can't see it because the existing isn't showing through in this figure, but we've made it sure that the new wall is located in front of the existing wall. So from construction, trying to ease of construction, we can just come and place the new wall right in front of it and then backfill and kind of bury that old wall. So the alignment has adjusted a little bit. One other thing we did is we changed the wall. So the two blue in the middle, which is your compactor for trash and your compactor for recycling, we adjusted that so we could put a central control panel right in the middle of them. So you could have an operator could stand in a single location and look into both hoppers and see when they need to be compacted, which is something you don't have now. You have to, go to your trash compactor by the wall, and then someone has to go and stand over by the recycling. So, safety and improved efficiency was part of the goal of this layout. So some of the other things that you've seen or have changed from the past are just simple tweaks and layouts where staff parking is, making sure the compost bins are up and accessible to the parking lots. Again, the goal is everyone comes in, parks, and can do most of what they need to right from that one parking spot and not have to constantly move throughout the site unless they have to do something that they do a little less frequency, which is maybe go get rid of brush or go to the e-waste, something like that. But, the daily things of getting rid of trash, getting rid of recycling, getting rid of compost, hopefully all can be done by just backing into that one parking spot, getting out, going quickly to your spots, and then pulling out and leaving the site, hoping to try to really improve efficiency and make it safer and have everyone kind of moving in the same direction.
So if you have to go to the metal tire or the burn piles, you're coming down here. Do I have that right?
Yeah, you're going around the south site clockwise. So you would still come in from the north entrance. You would come around the site, come past the parking spot. So I don't know, Gabe, if you can kind of draw that with your arrow. Yep, and you would keep coming around and you would then loop around the site clockwise to go down back. And the whole point is everyone is moving around the site in the same direction. So in here, you would drop off what you need to, back out, and then you'd come not that way. You would actually come straight up through there, continue the clockwise
Take a hard
path.
left.
Yeah,
So you could, in theory, there have traffic going both ways, but okay, I still think that makes sense.
oh, absolutely.
Millie has her hand up.
Millie, go
Yeah. When the compactor containers get full, being side by side like that, where will those go to be stored so that vehicles can still pass through there safely?
That's a good question. We have some kind of showing all the blue ones are where some of our spare ones are, so they can go next to our tire and metal brush. We can make those areas smaller too if we need to create more space for spare containers. Also off to the side, kind of towards the landfill side of the pavement, currently that's where a lot of the tires and stuff are piled now that we're gonna move them into these bins. That becomes area to store some of these containers as well.
Is that all right?
So Kenny was against this new layout, is that correct?
Oh, that's correct.
Did he say why?
Don't need to spend that much money. All we want is a new retaining wall.
But the new retaining wall alone was
Right.
how much?
I can't remember what the difference, I can't remember what option
was
one
like-
costs.
650 versus
800.
800, yeah.
Yeah.
Couple
Yeah, I
you're
think
right.
you're looking at a $200,000 difference.
Exactly.
It is 200, I thought it was like 150.
I thought it was 152.
But I think we decided, like, if we're gonna spend that much money, we might just as well add a couple $100,000 to do the entire thing and
Right.
have a good design that works.
Right.
That old design does not work. It clearly doesn't work.
I agree.
Yeah, and I think that's the same argument I made, is that no matter what, we're going to spend a fortune. And if we can, and it's only getting busier,
And
if we can make it easier to get in and out of there. It is a pain in the butt right now when you dump off your trash up on top and then have to
wait.
wait and turn around and get down to the recycling, because I seem to be the only person in the world who knows how to drive, and
I know how to
not take up
Well-
5 different spots at once, but.
The retaining wall is already, what, 3 or 4 years beyond its life.
I was working on a stability study when the year that I left, which was 2014.
Right.
That was 8 years ago. It was in really bad shape.
Yep.
So I guess
It's to the point of, yeah.
it's dangerous. It's dangerous at this point.
Right.
So can we
Well,
do the retaining wall to the design? Can we redo that to go with this design and not have to redo it again?
Why do you want to redo it? What are you talking?
If we go ahead and do the retaining wall like ASAP because it's gonna fall in, are we gonna redo it to match the design if we accept and vote to do this? Instead of,
Well, I think it's in a
why
different
can't-
location, isn't it? From
is
where it
the,
now.
is
You
the,
need to get it out to bid. Now, if you get the whole project out to bid along with the wall, is that what you're saying?
No.
You're saying do the wall first.
is the demo container gonna be in the same spot, Megan, that it is now?
I
Retaining wall
believe
gonna be,
No, the retaining wall is not in the same spot. The retaining wall is in a different spot. The grades are different also to make this loop. So trying to do this as a phased project will be difficult and probably cost more in the end, to be honest with you.
all right, thank you. I didn't know that. I thought the retaining wall was gonna be in the same area as it is now, but it's not. So, okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Where the retaining wall will be in front of it. So where the containers are, they're gonna push closer to the landfill. We're doing that intentionally to try to make it a easier construction. They can build the new walls and then just backfill the void space between. But elevations will change, layouts will change, things like that change. I will say one other thing when we were looking at cost, not only was it the retaining wall and the paving, but the compactor pads, those concrete pads the compactor sit on and the containers pulled out, that was part of something that had to be done at a minimum as well, was be replaced. And so that is something we're using in the project. So those were some of those like must be done at a very minimum to extend the life of this.
Minimum work we have to do is like 75-80% of the cost anyway.
Mhm.
Right? Yeah, so
Changing the
I
layout
feel
is-
changing the layout to make it easier to navigate all of this and safer for everyone makes sense. That's my opinion on it.
Do we need a formal motion to go out to
Well, this
bid?
was
or-
the proposed,
Oh, you haven't,
No, I think he says it's confident.
no. All right, so
leave out
Yeah,
the portion.
right at the bottom is what I need, right?
Well, it's your choice. but
Well, yeah,
that was a-
no.
That was suggested.
That is, no, suggested language, which helps. Thank you. I move that we accept the transfer station project site plan dated May 2022 as presented by Woodard and Curran, and to move forward with the bidding and construction phases of the project.
Second. All those in favor?
Do we want to have?
No, sorry,
is there
any more
discussion?
discussion?
I'm gonna vote against it like I have the whole time, so. I'm sticking with my original thought. I wouldn't change it myself, so.
We do not have to vote unanimously on it.
I know,
Thank you.
I'm sticking with what I've done the
Yeah.
whole time. I'm just telling you, that's what's. gonna
Leslie, do you
happen.
have any?
Don't worry, we're gonna have
Anything to
another
add?
split vote in a minute.
Curious why, Jake, what is your reasoning for not voting for it?
200,000, probably 300 or 400,000 by the time it goes out to bid savings.
Well, so on that point right there, we have a certain amount that we can borrow up to, and like I said, once the bid comes out, if the bids come in what we're allowed to anyway,
Right.
we should all get down on our hands and knees and pray to whatever religious deity we believe in. Like, that's going to be a miracle.
Yes, we're only allowed to borrow up to 850. So if it goes well beyond that, then we'll have to revisit and
You're
most
gonna-
likely
yeah,
we
you're
have to
gonna-
just go with fixing the retaining wall
Yeah,
and keeping the
and
status
maybe
quo.
we might get to a point, you have to just say, okay, we have to do what absolutely has to be
Right.
done. I mean, that
Okay.
might be a reality, but at any rate, we know the answer now.
So what's being proposed is that everything on this plan be voted on, not just what absolutely has to be done.
What the motion is to put out to bid that plan right
Exactly.
there.
Put it out to bid for this work.
Whatever
As presented.
construction company tells us it's going to cost.
The transfer station project site plan.
Okay, and that it can be up to $850,000.
Approved by the town as of last year for 850,000. Yes. So we
Okay,
got to bid now to find out what's actually actual cost, but.
okay.
This
So
is what they
even-
think it's gonna cost.
Even if we put it out to bid and it's over the 850, then it's not gonna pass anyway,
Have to
because,
go back and, we would have to go back and ask for more money, which at that point, most likely would not pass. So
all right,
at this
Or
point,
amend the
or we'd have to amend,
design.
right, amend the design,
Right.
or we'll have to revisit essentially.
Okay. all right. So this is just, we're just voting to put this out to bid at this point.
Any other discussion?
Can we have them bid on just doing just the retaining wall? If, I mean,
Could we put that in the bid, have it,
well, I guess it would be itemized, I
It
don't
it
know.
should have to be
It
itemized,
should be,
you should
yeah.
know.
I think by law, it has to be itemized. They'll show you how
But
much surface
it'll be
retaining
this
wall.
retaining wall, this thing, although.
Yeah.
It's a
I'm just
question
saying,
for
if that
Megan.
needs to be done, and we only have so much money, we should know how much it's gonna
Yeah.
cost to do what we
Right.
need to have done.
Yeah.
so.
Right, so Megan, when we put it out to bid, will we have an itemized bid that shows, these are the things that we have to have done, so that we can more easily identify, oh, yes, we can go forward with the full project, or we can only do what we have to do.
We can define the bid any way we want. We can either say, here's a lump sum, just tell us what the whole thing is, or we can do itemized and we can define them. So we can say, what is the cost per square foot to do the wall? And then what's the cost for everything else separate? So should the number come in high, we could then work with the contractor, say, okay, we don't want you to do X number of feet of wall. We just want you to do this much feet of wall in this location.
Yeah,
So
we should
we'd
at
have
least know
those unit
that.
price.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
we would like to have
always like
that
to see
itemized so that we know for what pieces of this project that we have to do from a safety standpoint.
So what I'm hearing
is
is things like the wall, the paving, and probably the concrete pads that need to go under the compactor should all be separate pay items, so we know exactly what they cost. And then we can kind of do the ancillary improvements as their own items, whether it's all one or break it out. And that way, when we get the prices in, we can make quick decisions on how to proceed.
Yes, please.
Yes, thank you.
Millie?
Just a thought. I know at one point, somebody had spoken to Fox Island Electric about maybe taking a couple poles or something and driving them down in behind that retaining wall as is right now. That might not be a bad idea, just to patch it for the summer at least. If we're gonna put this out to bid, this takes a while. And then to actually get the project moving will even be longer. So we might want to put a Band-Aid on it, just a thought, throwing it out there.
I agree. If that
We're
was-
still working on that, Millie. Kenny's been talking to Lauren, trying to move on that.
Okay, that's good.
Good.
I agree, that makes
Yes.
sense. All right,
This is a year out before this is done.
yeah, so
Awesome.
any more discussion? Move has been made, motion has made, and it's been seconded. All right, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Yes,
All those opposed? All right.
All set with design stuff then?
I believe so. Thank you very
Engineers
much.
can sign off. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
everyone.
Thank you all. Have a
Thanks,
good evening.
Megan. Thank you so
You
much,
too.
Megan. Thanks, Millie.
All right, 7C Harbormaster Animal Control Report.
Do you have one? Yeah, it was an email. It's actually an email from Haley Harwood, but Jim must not have his
Jimmy's.
own.
No, he doesn't.
I'm sure he-
Apparently he doesn't.
99% of all dogs have been licensed. It must be 2022.
I asked Arlene about that, and I guess he's still working on the dogs that weren't licensed in 2021, so I don't quite understand.
Because they would have to be registered now, right? 2022.
Right, people have until the end of
January.
January to register dogs.
So 2022 is, everyone should be,
So-
in theory, be registered right now.
Right, but I guess he's working on real laggers that haven't.
No, I'm sure. Yeah. Typically, the people that don't register their dogs are the
Yeah.
repeat offenders and are very
Yeah.
late.
That's a good idea to request a rabies vaccination day, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
agree.
used to do that.
I was thinking,
I always thought
so.
there was one.
That's good.
So that last issue on there, that needs to be brought up,
Towing and storage fee.
all right? We can't just do that, it has to go in the harbor ordinance, we'd have to go reopen that, wouldn't we?
I wonder if the harbor ordinance gives us a ability to
The
set
stuff that we're putting
fees.
in back of the
Yeah,
nut
I mean,
factory
it's-
building?
Yeah.
it's technically on the, you don't think so?
What
It's a
did you
parking-
say,
It's a
Jay?
parking
This
issue,
last-
I was just curious.
Right, I
if it
didn't
was-
hear what Jay,
Have it be part of the ordinance.
Oh.
I
have to go
just
back and
asked if we
update the
had to open
ordinance.
up the harbor ordinance again to
Oh.
do that, I wasn't sure,
I
because,
don't want to try to collect it. You want to?
no, but I'm just saying, like, if we did do that, I
Yeah.
don't even,
I
I
mean,
mean, we'd have to open up some ordinance to do it.
well,
wouldn't we?
they're gonna have to register the vehicles before they can get them, right? The
The trailers,
towing, or the trailers.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, I do agree, you know, our road crew is stretched so thin as is. And now asking them to take trailers and take, you know, the taxpayer is out. It's not, you know, it's not gonna change their property tax value in any significant way, but in some ways, you know,
I thought,
they're paying, you know, you are paying for some, to take care of somebody's
I
delinquency.
thought Jimmy was gonna tow trailers.
Sometimes they take huge loads and put them in the back of the dump truck and
Well, nevertheless, I don't see where that's gonna affect the ordinance any, do you?
Well,
If we tried to collect a fee.
Yeah.
Oh, to collect the fee,
it
yeah.
has to be spelled out.
But if they have trailers that aren't registered before they can take them, they're gonna have to register the trailer at here,
Yes.
and then they can get their trailers. So
Maybe not a fee, but just have them.
they have to
But
pay for
they're-
the registration,
Right.
right?
yeah.
I think Jimmy's point was that even if we do this and we have a place to put them now, it is a cost to the town. Someone has to
Right,
take the time to move it over there and then be there to unlock it.
Yeah.
To give the person, if they have registered, so there should be a fee, but I agree, there's probably nothing in the ordinance right now that says that we can do that, so.
right.
That's why I just said to do
Right.
that, I think we would have to open up the ordinance again, and it's probably, maybe that's something we should look at next time we have to redo it anyway, but not right at this time.
I have a feeling with a new board member, again, you're gonna be revisiting the harbor ordinance
Well,
at their request.
I,
So, yeah.
I think that's a good idea
All the
to
requests I make never
take
get
that,
brought up, so I don't
take the
think we can
trailers
do
there,
that.
do you?
No, yeah, they need to be moved. and
Right.
If people aren't gonna do it themselves, we gotta move them somewhere, so. That's the only place we really can, right?
Right.
It's not that far from where they're
Or-
usually,
I got 54
right, where they're
there.
usually piling up, so.
It looked pretty good down there today, didn't look like they were in.
I admit I hardly paid driving by in the afternoon. I kind of have tunnel vision for
Yeah.
home.
I think Jimmy's doing a good job.
He's only lasted a long time.
Yeah.
All right, where are we? Old business, 8A, boundary line confirmation agreement.
So we had the town meeting and now you just
Need to
make a
sign.
motion to approve and
You have the original?
approve and sign the boundary line confirmation agreement.
I move that we sign the boundary line confirmation agreement between John Airy and the town of Vinalhaven.
Second,
All those in favor?
Yes, come up tomorrow and sign it.
Thank you.
did you notice in the minutes that you called her West Style one
Did I?
Oops.
time? So Leslie,
I'll correct it.
I wasn't here when you read it, I was gonna mention it, but
I'll correct it.
Leslie died most of the time, but on one of them it said West Style.
Okay, I've been called worse.
Well, I mean, it's not terrible, but I just caught it, and I wasn't here when you guys did it, because I was late, sorry again, but I was gonna bring it up. It's gonna be my crow
Do
moment.
you want to do
Oh.
Because he always had
Go on,
things like
yep.
that he caught in the minutes.
Yeah,
All right, 9A, liquor license application for Skull LLC,
If I-
Christine Davidson doing business as Skull.
If you witness, I can be the notary. How's that?
I move that we sign the liquor license application for Skull.
second,
All those in favor?
We
Yes.
go down to Skull after this meeting.
No, they're not open on
Wow.
Tuesdays, are they?
Well, they
Not
also
yet, I
may
don't
be
think.
just, We just approved their liquor license application. I
We
could,
should
Tell
open
them
up
to open
special.
one.
and I could use a little medicine.
Oh, gosh, all righty.
Well, you got your medicine coming in 2 weeks, you just said.
I could use a little medicine tonight.
Somebody else can put on my title. I don't really have to put my title, I don't think. You can put your title on.
Oh, I witnessed Leslie and she didn't even sign.
Yeah, well,
You'll be here tomorrow when she signs it, right?
yeah.
Oh, no, I won't. Oh, okay.
We're all witness.
She doesn't, there's a quorum, she doesn't technically.
Yeah, it doesn't
sign
have
it
to.
Doesn't
anyway,
have to,
right?
right.
This is-
I mean, there's 4, as long as 3 of us signed it, I think it's fine.
Yep.
Yeah, the warrant, for the town meeting one year, somebody was missing on that. Can't
Mhm.
remember who it was, but,
It happens every now and then.
yeah.
Yeah, as long as you have at least. 3, I
Dennis
think
Warren
you're-
didn't approve a special town meeting once and he didn't sign, he just didn't sign the warrant. It didn't matter because
want that
everyone else
back?
did, but.
I don't think I
Sure.
need.
All right, so
You need
9,
that back, Marjorie, is that?
B.
Or Elizabeth?
Yeah, well, you can,
9B.
gift of
Darlene can
land,
file it in the
Glen
morning.
Dwyer map
We just leave
13
it
lot 001.
I say let him keep it.
I feel like keep it too, but.
We haven't,
What?
they've just, Donald just went to 9B.
Oh,
gift of
okay.
land, we're already
So
getting there.
Called and spoke with Glenn Dwyer. They're still interested in giving that property to the town. And I asked him if they were looking for, what is it, an income tax deduction, and he wasn't really aware that that might be part of the process, that he could use that for a deduction on his taxes.
Be a one-time, it'd be a terrible thing.
Jason. Hopefully it's gonna.
So-
I don't think it's the break even, because he's getting out of paying a property tax.
I just made a copy of the tax map, which is, not, as you know, just so you know where the location of it is. Are you all aware
Mhm.
where it is?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and he's not fixed on the idea of having an easement for parking. I know that when KK and Gigi gave the town land, we tried to have an easement for that parking space, and it became a real frig, to sort of carve out a little
Right.
space where somebody could park on a piece of town property. It became a problem.
Yep.
So just as an example, if they want to give it to us, fine, but you may not want to get into this, carving out a piece for a parking space or something like that.
Well, I mean, if there was a parking lot
Is
for
this-
everyone in the
That's
town
Boy
to use,
Scout.
that would be one
This-
thing, right?
this is already-
Like,
Yeah.
I'm
yeah.
talking about giving,
So.
at
this
one
is-
point, there was
on
discussion about
RM1.
giving them an
It's
easement.
a
Oh.
little over
For-
RM1, it's a little over an
Um,
acre. But
They say that
I
their
don't know. how-
purpose is, their
Anyway.
goal is preservation of
Be
the
nice to have a
land.
So what
trail.
kind of deed restrictions
That's-
are they putting on it? I
That-
mean, what, we can only
clearly I'm
use it
in
as a
favor of
park.
it, but I know you guys are questioning the tax.
They didn't
thing.
say. They're open to any kind of discussions, and they're open to discussions about the costs related to the transfer. Their goal is preservation, and they don't want to deal with the taxes anymore, so.
Is it a buildable lot or not a buildable?
It's an RM1, but it's a little over 1 acre. It is a buildable
It's, just
lot.
over 1 acre.
thing.
Before you got here, we were talking about this before we cut into, the one point, if you build a house there, you might not be able to get a well there. You might end up with a saltwater well, right?
Right.
don't- yeah.
I'm just saying, like,
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much, I'm presumably there's not much fresh water there.
I mean, to get a septic, that has to be at this point, 125 feet. right?
Right now, yeah.
At this point.
Today, it has to be
And then
125 feet.
your house has to be 200, 200,
100 if it's an RM1,
it has to be at least 100.
I think. I thought that's what, when I built my
It
house, it had to
depends.
be 100 feet back from the water.
And are you in the same zone? In some zones.
I'm in RM1, but I don't know. if
Some
I'm-
Anyway,
zones are
and then
know.
then you have to find your well. And I don't know about a setback from the boundary line of the people that bought Pat Nix. So I don't know how buildable it is, but anyway.
And what was it, the property tax is like over $3,000, wasn't it?
The
Yes,
property taxes
it's weird,
are 3,155.
yeah.
Right, so I don't,
It's valued at about 230,000.
Yeah, because it's a buildable lot, you can build.
This has all of them on RM2, by the way.
oh, really?
Like,
So there are fewer
this-
restrictions with
this
that,
is where
right?
the line
Yeah,
is right
if that's,
So it's RM2, so it should be easier to build on that
But it's
lot.
not a new
but
lot.
it's not,
What does
I
that
thought an
mean?
RM2 had to be 1.5, at least 1.5 acres.
I have no idea. I'm not a person on the board. But if it's a lot that was there before they made it into RM2, can you still build on it? I don't know how that stuff works.
I don't either, Jake.
Sometimes you can, like, I mean,
It says RM1 and shoreland.
I wonder how, if this map is accurate, that's RM2.
How old are those maps? Oh,
I can't remember any time when we like change where the lines are. And at least no time recently. Presumably this map should still be accurate. Can you think of a town meeting
it
where?
says 2009 on the bottom. Right there.
I think those maps are old.
But I
And they
mean,
could have changed the zoning.
but
Clearly.
sometimes if there's a lot that's been there before 1990 something or whatever, it's a grandfather. I don't know. I can't remember how exactly the rules work, but
I think we should, we would have to talk to Wes.
right. I mean, if it's a buildable lot, we shouldn't take it. They should
Right,
sell
they should
it
sell it.
and then we can keep the property taxes on it. We
Right.
have enough preserved land out here. I mean, but I guess or we could take it and sell it put the money in the town coffers.
That go for like, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're
That's
right.
why
I don't think that would work, Jake.
No, it
Oh, I
would.
just said
It
what
would.
kind
If
of
there's
deed
no
restrictions.
If there's no deed restriction, yeah, you could do that.
No, I know
You
that,
go-
but I
it
don't
might
think
go
it
over
would
like a
be,
turd- Might go over like a
I
turd in a
don't-
punch bowl.
yeah, I
but-
don't think that's the answer.
Yeah, honestly, I've been formulating this in my mind out to all the points I have against taking the land. We already have a lot of preserved land. I walked Boy Scout Point,
Once.
yeah, and you know what? It was the first time in my life. I'd never been down there because there were no such thing as Boy Scouts, obviously, when I was a kid, but it's already, the creek is already developed. Pretty much right from the time you get on that trail, you look at a lot of houses. If you want to not develop the creek, you probably need to go back in time 150 years, before quarry existed even. But
Probably wasn't even there because it's all built land.
I just don't see how much it really, I know it's gonna add to the park, but there's no trails through there.
which isn't too hard. to
I
do,
know it's not, but like, I agree that we already have too much land in conservation where it's just driving up everyone else's tax bill. So if we do that, it's gonna do it again.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, I guess I'd say, and right now, yeah, $3,000 isn't any large sum of money, but it's still
It's still
$3,000.
$3,000. Leslie?
Yes.
That,
I kind of agree with where you're coming from, DW.
all right, so do you need us to make a motion?
Well, no, actually, the motion would be to send it to town meeting, a special town meeting, right? The town would have to approve the acquisition of the land.
Right.
At
If
town
you're
meeting.
against it, why would you put it on. a
No, we
But
wouldn't.
We wouldn't, that's why I said
Oh, oh,
don't.
We
make-
don't need to
if
make
you-
any kind of
Don't
motion.
have to
do
make
we?
any motion.
Okay.
Other than inform the landowner
I
that
mean,
thanks, but no
It
thanks.
could just be a consensus not
Yeah.
to move forward with the
Right,
acceptance of
that's
the
what,
gift.
I'm saying, don't make a motion, unless somebody wants to make a motion, put it up to town meeting.
No,
You know,
I,
But
No,
I,
we
Do a
don't-
consensus?
we don't
No.
need to put,
That's one of my favorite words. It was a consensus of the board.
but I think it's not a full consensus because Pam
Right.
would like to accept it. so-
Well, I had originally, years ago, before I had even, before this even, I had it in my thoughts that wouldn't it be wonderful if the Dwyers would give us an easement, a
Oh.
trail easement? So perhaps we could suggest a trail easement versus an actual transfer of the property to Glenn, would he, if they want to sell the land, they're gonna
Well, I
sell
mean, I
it
think if-
regardless.
I
whether-
think if they gave you an easement, it would reduce the property value and the
No,
taxes
no,
from
it
now
will
on.
not reduce the property value because trail easements are not bad things. They're,
I would think it'd be very
Yeah.
minimal.
yeah, it might be harder to sell, certainly. It's such a small piece of property. Somebody's gonna say, well, there's a trail easement on it. No, I'm not gonna buy it. So he probably, if he wants to sell it, he wouldn't give a trail easement.
Right.
But, we did a trail easement on property that we owned at Keldwood's Neck, and it was bigger piece than that, but it was fine. It was no problem. It didn't bother the price of the property or anything. But anyway, that was what I was gonna ask him years ago, or not him, but his, I don't know if it's his mom or aunt, whoever it is. So,
All right, so at this point,
anyway,
Looks like no action.
no action. We're not interested in the gift at this time.
We can't even get anyone to mow the land that we do have.
Right.
there's no mowing down there.
Building for the woods and the park commission.
The
There's a lot
Parks
of-
Commission takes care of all that property.
That's so trail.
I know where they
But I would like to suggest to Marjorie, would you guys be okay if we asked him for a trail easement?
I have no problem with
are. Would it
that.
come from the Parks Commission or from the town or select board? Who would ask for it?
I think it should come from the parks.
Well, just a suggestion that would they consider giving the
Hmm.
Parks Commission a trail easement?
Yeah.
to
I've never
Wood?
done a trail easement.
They're not hard.
I mean, the worst they can say is no. So
Yeah,
I don't have a problem.
You guys can ask them for it.
I don't have a
Yeah,
problem.
I don't have a problem with that.
Linnell
I think
help
it,
will
I think it
help
should
if
come
he
from
said
Well,
the
yes.
parks.
He was pretty, I don't know.
I
if
agree.
adamant is the Right word, but they want to get rid of it.
Right.
They
Yeah.
don't want it anymore.
Right.
So I don't know, I mean, what would be the sense of them to negotiate a trail easement
No,
if they're
if they're
just trying
gonna
to get
sell
rid
it,
of it?
right.
Yeah, I mean, I can.
You can ask.
Certainly,
Yeah, we
yes.
can ask and they
No.
can say no, and that's fine.
Yeah.
I think if it comes from the Parks Commission, it might look a little bit better than coming from the select board, since we just told them
Right, since
that we didn't want
we
anything
the
to do
gift.
with it.
No, I
I don't know,
don't,
that's
yeah.
just my thought.
I also think it's way overvalued, but I'm not the tax assessor.
It is,
so,
it is what it is.
That's another issue.
Yep,
When they revalued all the land in 2000, any buildable lot was 200,000, and it's been going up ever since, so. It was on the water and it was buildable, even if it was tidal, it went up astronomically.
Mm.
All right, let's move on to 10, report of town manager.
Let's see. Oh, I would just like a clean motion on the employee health insurance. When I tried to contact Maine Municipal Health, it was just very confusing. So what I understand is that you approved paying 100% of the health insurance premium for an employee only.
Yeah, correct.
Right.
Did you
And
make, did you
dental,
make a
and dental.
decision about the dental? The dental is currently 60/40.
We did not change.
My motion was, and it was strictly for budgetary purposes, it was not a change of the employee policy, which is what you're going to need when we finalize budget numbers. My motion was to pay for 100% of health and dental of the employee.
Health and dental.
Yes. Because dental insurance amounts to
It's pretty small.
you know, it's like when you're talking about the comparison to health insurance, that's
Could
not a
you-
problem.
Could you just make that
You want me to
motion
do
that
it
I
for-
wrote down there for purposes?
Do we need to wait to make sure the budget passes?
The budget will have to pass to pay for, you know, because it's an increase.
All
Well,
right.
I've already indicated
Oh, well,
to
so-
the health people, because I thought it was a done
well,
deal.
it's
part of
a
the-
done deal for now because we're gonna have enough money up to pay for it until or through June 30th. But if that administration, if that line of the budget at the annual town meeting fails, well,
What would
then,
it be?
well, I don't think it will.
Well, but we
But
can make a
it
motion
could.
contingent on the budget. Or how-
Yeah, yes.
Would we do that or not?
Sometimes people make motions to
All right,
reduce
so-
amounts of,
I guess this is my bad because I have already notified the Maine Municipal Health that you're changing
you should have.
your,
He's okay. But, you know, if it fails at town meeting, it fails at town meeting. And if the money doesn't exist, the money doesn't exist.
It's just
Yeah, yeah.
cancel it.
You know, that's just the way that goes.
I think it'll probably.
I'm
one of
not
those
worried
things
about, I
that-
don't think you should be worried about it though. Don't worry. Like, don't lose any sleep over that. Unless there's
Well,
someone that's. been
could you
showing.
just make that motion?
Do I need to
contingent upon
make it, do I need to make a motion? Where is this?
It's written right, possible motion
I don't-
after employee health
We
insurance.
don't,
Oh, you don't have it in the
No.
town manager's report?
No.
Not a,
Transfer station and recycling.
not an
Yeah.
updated one.
no, we have that
Oh,
transfer, yeah.
sorry.
What
I gave it
been doing, what was been doing to
Oh, I
you?
gave it to
Like,
Darlene. It's it's
Darlene.
nobody's fault. I'm
Blame it
not
on her,
blaming
she's not
anybody
here,
but
right?
myself.
Yeah, right.
I apologize. I apologize.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna, all right, I'll make sure that contingent on approval at annual town meeting makes it in here somewhere. I move that effective July 1, 2022, the town of Vinalhaven will be changing its premium contribution for the
Give it to me.
POSC medical plan from the current 85% of the premium for employee only to 100% of the premium for employee only. The town will also change its premium contribution for the dental insurance program from the current 60% of the premium for employee only to 100% of the premium for employee only, a contingent upon approval at annual town meeting.
Would you repeat that?
Second. All
No, I
those in
won't.
favor?
Yes,
I'm sorry.
See, Andy would have just sat there with a grin on his face, letting us, you know.
Fumble through
Fumble
it.
through it.
You know, like-
I think it's great that you have
Yeah, that
those
is
motions.
helpful.
It's very helpful.
So is there,
Right.
what else is on your report? 'Cause, yeah, all I have is the transportation and recycling.
I
Right.
apologize that you didn't get this. I
I got my hopes up. It was a
blame
report.
myself. The fire truck, one of the fire trucks broke down this week. I don't know if any of you heard about it.
Yeah,
I saw pictures of, actually
Yeah.
saw it come off the boat.
Yeah, we did get it over to Copeland's on an emergency basis, and we did get a loaner from Greenwood. And we transferred all of the equipment. This is the truck that goes out first usually
Oh,
with everything on the truck. So it's under control. It's not great. We're getting an estimate, but it looks bad, you
Uh-oh.
know.
yeah, metal.
It looks
filing,
like-
metal filing,
It looks
you
like,
know.
$40,000 plus repair.
And this is not
How did that
the
happen?
engine we were planning on replacing.
Of
This
course
is
it's
not
not.
this is not the 1985.
How did that happen?
This is the 2000 E1.
Yeah, this is the one we purchased actually in 2013, if you remember, Marjorie, that we purchased used from down south somewhere.
And I did file a claim with the insurance company, and the insurance appraiser has already been out. So things are just moving along
Okay.
on that. I got this invoice from a company called Archive Social. It's $2,988, and it's due for the new budget in July. And I don't really understand what it is. apparently it archives
All the
all of our
Facebook
stuff
and all
on
that.
social media.
Yes.
But my big problem is that I don't see it in the budget.
Because you don't put it in the budget.
So there's that.
There was a big.
We started, we paid them in 21, and then we paid them in July of 21 for the fiscal year 21, 22.
This current fiscal year. right?
Yeah, so we've paid there. Wow, what did my notes say? But I'm looking at admin service fees where most of the software costs, and I do not see it.
Did he miss it?
I don't
That's
know.
it. Well,
It wouldn't be anywhere else, right?
I doubt
would
it,
think so.
unless it's under planning,
Why would it be planned?
because the planning department would also be doing what was the idea, maybe they would do a lot of Facebook communications or social media communications.
Oh, I don't remember that.
So I'm not sure
It
what to
might, I
do
don't
with
know,
it.
that's the
So-
only other place it could be.
so
It
just-
should be where she's looking.
Yeah,
So just keep going with it and,
No, well.
I don't
if the-
get it.
If the money, if the money's not there for it in the
I mean,
On July
when
1
you
then.
talked about it originally, Gabe said something, Gabe proposed the question another way and asked the board, what is the value of being able to share information through
Yes.
Facebook and other social media
Right.
channels?
it turned into a point of discussion because we got a scare letter from one of these companies, probably this company that, I can't remember what it's called, but about.
Freedom of access?
That if somebody asked, sometimes you can't find old comments that the general public might make on your Facebook post. And if somebody put a freedom of information request in and you couldn't find it,
Well,
they might sue, you could get
Try to
sued
sue
for
us.
this outrageous. I
I
thought it was
know,
a scare tactic.
I'm not an attorney, but I remember when we had the Stevens case and they did a incredibly detailed freedom of access request. And I had to go through emails and I asked the attorney at that time, I said, well, what if there's something out there, but I just, I don't catch it, I don't find it. He says, it's fine, catch what you can catch, find what you can find, and,
There has to be, if you admitted something on purpose, that becomes a different thing. But if you just don't catch it, you don't catch it. There has to be,
yeah, I mean,
there has
he
to be what
didn't,
malice, a
he
forethought
didn't
or
seem to
whatever.
think it was a big deal. If there was something in this building
Mhm.
to do with this property that had this litigation on, that it was gonna be a problem.
I believe I voted
Yeah.
against,
I-
that
I
item.
don't think, I think it
I
was
I
would
thought we
say-
only voted to do it for
year.
a year to have it archive everything that was on there, and then we.
And that was more
It's
during
not-
COVID when
it's
we
definitely
had
Right,
all
because we were doing
remote.
all, yeah.
It's definitely not in the admin computer software.
No, but I
budget.
thought we only voted to do it for like, they gave us a break to do it for like six weeks or 6
Here's the
months at
discussion.
first. And then they said, if you pay us this, we'll do all of it now and all of it next year. And
Right.
since we're doing everything from home, I think, isn't that why we did it? For the.
Oh,
COVID
that's what
stuff?
you said. Jake said, what's gonna happen at the termination of the agreement? The 21-22.
That was my understanding, that it was only good for the.
Gabe
One
said
thing.
that at any time you can download an archived file.
What they've got for. us.
Jake said he would like to see what this service provides before committing to a year subscription.
I thought it was expensive.
Bill amended it to just March 2020 through June 2020. But it's been paid
It's been
for.
renewed through
Once.
this year, so
So I don't think.
It's not
I
in
don't
the
know if it-
budget.
I don't think it was supposed to be renewed. but
I don't
maybe it
think-
got Slipped through somehow.
I don't think it sounds like we're on agreement, we
Yeah.
don't need that.
On July 1, we do not need it.
So I would just say that
Say, send
reply
us a
back to them.
copy of everything,
Terminate it and send us.
send us
Yeah.
a digital copy of everything that you've got on us and
Yeah.
we're good.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what,
Yeah.
I mean,
Or
we're back
wait.
to pretty much
Yeah.
mostly normal operations around here. I mean,
And if for some reason we all suddenly get into a mess where sharing basic information on Facebook becomes a problem, then.
well, when can it be a problem for me?
Well, yeah,
Because I've
well-
never had a Facebook account Don't plan to, so. it won't be
You
a
know, yeah,
problem
if we
with
have to delete the Facebook account because somebody wants to be a jerk, then so be it. Hopefully, no one's that spiteful or petty, but
Okay,
No, go ahead.
no, yeah.
And then the last thing I have is that I got a note from Thomaston Recycling that they were gonna increase their fees just from 700 to 800 plus the container rental, so it'd be $800 instead of $900 total instead of $800. I did call and talk to them. Our contract with them ended in 2021, so we're really operating without a contract, which isn't a bad thing, you know, and it's just
That's for the
sounded,
recycling, is that what we have them contracted for?
they do,
Come on, pick it up.
yeah,
do they-
Thomaston Recycling and the metal, they do the metal stuff.
Okay, I was trying to think, because Eco Maine does
Yeah, Eco Maine comes and picks.
or maybe
Oh.
Thomaston Recycling picks it up
Thomaston
and takes it to them.
Recycling.
The trucks are Thomas and Recycling,
But
and
take
it
it-
goes. to
Oh,
Eco
yeah,
Maine.
they
it
have
goes
to,
to Eco
they
Maine,
have to
okay.
truck it,
Yes.
yeah.
So I
That's
mean,
right,
are
yeah.
we- do
So,
they want us to lock in a contract? that-
no, they would rather just keep it as is. They, under the contract from 2018 to 2021, they were allowed to have a CPI increase or a fuel charge, and they never did increase it from the
Yeah,
700.
they
They
have to
stayed
now.
with the
Well,
700.
$100 is pretty, I think that sounds like
And-
they
Well,
dealing with us pretty gently.
you know, to be honest, what we talked about is, well, they said, do you want to, you know, discuss a contract? And it's like, you know, we're good. Because I felt like, you know, we have a good relationship with them, things are going well.
So
It's
when does
another
that
$100, and
increase?
if we go back and try to negotiate a contract, we might be worse off.
Gonna go
Right.
up.
When is that going into effect?
Immediately, probably.
Yeah.
I wonder how that affects our budget. Not, it's
That should be
$100
negligible, I
per,
would think.
it's $100 per
Oh, yeah.
trip though, right?
Mhm.
How many
That's a
trips
good
do they
point.
make?
52 once a week.
I
probably.
didn't-
At least
What
200
choice-
bucks.
What
At
choice
least
do you
one.
have?
I'm not saying we don't have a choice, I'm just saying
No.
we're gonna have to find the money elsewhere, like
Right.
that is, we have to consider it.
52 times 100 is 200, right?
Yes.
How many trips do they make?
I didn't, yeah, I should have gotten that information for you, but I don't have it here.
But just, even if you just say it's once a week, $5,200.
Right.
And sometimes
think
it
in the
is,
summer
sometimes
it's
it
more
is
than
more than
that.
once a week. In the summertime, that thing goes up quick.
We're talking about increasing the price of the bags anyway, so.
We're gonna have to now.
So we don't charge anything for recycling.
No, but
That costs more than anything else. I
Yeah.
know.
All of a sudden, yeah. For a while, it was encouraging more recycling is a good thing, but it's saving.
Somebody told me
This
that.
saying 30 trips in 2021.
Oh. Well, really? Because there must be
Six
times, there
tons
must
a
be
trip.
times, there must be times in the
yeah, but
winter
that
when
doesn't
it
make
gets
any
really-
difference. It's this same container. I don't think.
Right, so it's 30, so 30 trips, it's an extra $3,000.
But what did he have it?
He had recycling tip fees. Oh, that's different.
Yeah, I don't know what
This is
it's-
just per trip. It was $725. And now you're saying it's gonna be 800,
900. It was
900?
already
Well,
800.
Where's what page is it? What does it say?
It's in transfer station recycling under the transfer station budget.
It's quite well into that.
Thomaston Recycling.
Wait, we got the recycling trailer rental at $106.12 for this year. So is that would be added into the 725, right?
Where's that?
Trailer rental. Wouldn't that be? It says recycling trailer, I'm assuming. It was $100, then he hit it at 102, 104, he's got it at
What page,
106.
what page is that?
It's
Oh,
still
rental, okay.
100. It's still 100.
Okay, well, he's got
Alright,
that
so-
at 106.
So that's
Where's the-
825 then.
And
If you add the
Where's
hauling
the-
and then the
Where's the
rental,
hauling?
it's on the recycling page.
Oh,
It's
I
like
get
the
it.
third from, the
Okay.
fourth from the back. 725 plus the 100.
Okay, so now it's 800. 800 plus this 100.
So it's only really going up 75 in this budget, right? Do I have that correct? He was planning
If
for
it's
720,
725, yeah.
725 and the 100, yeah, all right, so.
He's
I mean-
planning on 30 trips last year. Well, one year he only had 20 trips planned, 2 years ago, wouldn't be now.
I mean, there's
720,
not-
725 a trip and they're going up to 800 a trip.
Yeah, $75, so.
Mhm.
Plus we got $6 built in the other place, so it's,
I mean,
yeah.
we don't really have a choice anyway, but we're gonna have to keep an eye on.
You know, you just have to spend money, not spend money on something else at the
I
end.
mean, we have 2 hazard and 3 e-waste. I mean, those, you might have to go with one less.
You were gonna
e-waste trip.
revisit transfer station fees anyway, right?
Yeah.
At some point?
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is recycling. so
Oh,
you
yeah,
don't-
but I
Yeah,
meant-
but
you didn't
that's
make up
all in
for
the
it.
same budget.
Yeah. All right.
Really gets res- I think
I
that's
think,
all I
we'll-
have.
I mean, we can make it work.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to.
It always works out, yeah.
That's all I have.
I just have a couple questions. I don't know if we can answer right now. So we had an agreement on the land use violations. Have we received any payments on that? Because they were supposed to pay by August, wasn't it, of this year? For the agreement?
You talking about Dave Blackington?
Yeah.
It was 60 days and that, whatever it was, yeah.
How many
So I'm just
received?
wondering if we've received any payments from, yeah.
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't really know a lot about it.
Okay.
They might know.
Yeah, ask Fay,
I'll
ask
check in with
Debbie.
Fay on that, because in that agreement, if we didn't pay by a certain date, like everything became due. Like, didn't we go
Yeah,
back and say
I
like
can't
all
remember.
the former fees are
Yes,
gonna
I
be
can't remember how, I
reinstated?
can't remember how. we-
And I know Fay has been up there recently to check on things. I think there's might be some problems coming up.
Really.
I
And then
think,
my other question was an update on
Surprise.
the agreement, the potential agreement between the water district and the town on that factory building.
Mhm.
If that is moved forward, is
I-
there something in writing yet, or?
I have a note to self to email Mike Cummins tomorrow at
Okay.
Maine Water.
Okay.
And I'll talk to him, I'll call him, he's easy,
Well,
and
yeah,
just see
that's
what,
my question too. Am I supposed to be contacting the
I
attorney to
don't know.
move forward on the paperwork for this stuff?
Right,
I didn't know that I know we've agreed to the design.
Oh, I'm sorry. So that was my question. When, I know that you had an executive session, but when you came out of executive session, did you make any kind of a motion as to what to do?
Only,
I
it
couldn't
was,
find anything.
No.
wasn't it just to,
Explore to see if that was satisfactory with the water.
Would you be
district.
prepared to make a motion at this point, or do you want to wait?
We should wait and see what the answer is. I think that Pam finds out, I think.
yeah, I'll talk to Mike
Okay,
Because
and
there is-
see what he wants.
because on the town side, we were gonna build them a new building. I don't see
It's
anything.
written into the EDA, it's part of the EDA
Yeah.
grant.
So it is in the.
It's
in the
300
town
and,
warrant,
it was
300
300 and some odd $1,000, I
50
can't
or
remember.
something?
Yeah,
Okay,
and
okay.
that was their offer. That was what they were gonna, in exchange for that property, they would take that money and build us and move us to a new site.
So it's in funding we've already secured.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
It's just getting this finalized between the two parties and in writing.
Right,
Okay, so, but that is moving forward.
yes.
But you need to get a yes from Mike before we can have lawyers.
Well, I just
Or-
have to ask, I'll ask him, is Marjorie supposed to do something or
Well, we
Just
need
did-
to
well,
do
it was
something with the
it was the
lawyers.
feeling of the Gabe and Brent that I was supposed to be doing something with the attorneys, but I
I,
hadn't heard that from the board, so I didn't do anything.
and I have not been part of any conversation about attorneys.
Mhm.
Well, we're gonna have to do that
So,
to make. get
and I've
something
been,
corrected,
I've
so.
been attended just about every meeting
Mhm.
and, but I can check tomorrow and get the ball rolling on
Yeah.
that for you. if you want, maybe I can,
I don't think it's. a
Well,
pressing
it's
thing.
not
like
a
it's gonna
matter of
happen.
what I want personally. It's just if I'm supposed to be doing
Right.
something, you know.
yep,
Well, we can give you a motion at the next meeting
Yeah,
after we
right,
find
yeah.
out, for sure if it's acceptable. I mean, if we have the attorneys draw something up and they say, no, we don't like that, then.
mm.
there
just
should be
raise-
no problem. I can't
Right, no, but I
understand why
mean,
they're, no,
yeah, no, but yeah,
How about-
I don't think there'll be
Well,
any
I don't-
problem, but.
I'd rather not wait till the next meeting because I'm gonna be gone, then we're gonna have the in-town meetings. We're not gonna have a next board meeting until July, basically, my understanding, unless you're gonna have one while I'm gone.
if we don't need to have
I
one.
thought we were gonna have one that last week with Brent, not Brent,
Next week, we're gonna have with Dawn.
Next week,
Yes.
yeah.
It won't be a board meeting.
no, but I thought the last week of July, he was gonna give us recommendations.
Last week of June, yes,
So
but
we would have a board meeting that Tuesday, the last week
but
of
that
June.
Tuesday is the annual town meeting.
We're not
Wednesday is the
having,
annual. town
We were
meeting.
gonna have a meeting
It's
with,
the
on the
29th.
15th, because on the 16th, I said I wasn't available, the 14th,
But that's not a regular select board meeting. is
no,
it?
that,
No,
the
but I
15th,
just
that was
assumed
to
we were
meet
having
with
a meeting
Dawn,
that
right?
Tuesday
Well, we
before
can-
the select.
Can we make a motion at that point, right? We can make a motion at that
You
point.
can have an agenda, item, yeah,
Yeah.
and then we'll go into executive session to discuss resumes for
Okay.
town managers.
So let's do that. Let's have that agenda item next week
okay,
on
And just have that on the agenda.
just that, and then
Okay.
we'll go immediately.
And,
to
Alright.
executive
and
session.
meeting with Dawn.
Right, that'll be
Yep.
the executive session.
When is their meeting next week?
15,
Wednesday, the 15th.
What time is it supposed to be?
5.
Okay.
no regular selectmen's on the 21st, you're gone.
I will not be here. If you want to have a meeting, that's fine, but I will not be here.
I think we'll be fine. If we need one, we'll call it.
The
we'll
annual
call-
town meeting's the 28th anyway.
Right.
I mean,
We won't have anything much going on. If we
Okay.
do, we can,
Well,
Call
if we-
meeting.
If we do, we'll know next.
You'll know
Tuesday.
next week.
Yeah.
We
Right.
need to have
And
one.
we only need, what, 48 hours before we call a regular town meeting anyway, right?
Selectmen's meeting.
That's a
So
selectmen's
select-
meeting, yeah, it's 48 hours to post it or
You
something.
know, there's nothing specific in the law about it. It just says kind of, do you do the best you can, do your due diligence to.
So if we
to-
knew next Tuesday that we wanted to meet the next Tuesday, we'd be
Right.
more than
Just
like
fine.
post it
Yeah,
as soon
wait.
as you know.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. That was all I had. Anyone else?
I'll do
Motion
the
to adjourn. Second,
Second.
all those in favor?
Yes.
I'll- very best
Thank you,
to
everyone.
get a,
Thanks,
answer.
everybody.
Thank you, Dan.
Bye,
You're welcome.
Leslie.
Thanks,
Hi.
Jamie. Yeah, it was-
Having a little
I was
nap.
wondering.
No, I was outside playing baseball with Ryan and
Oh,
Shelby and Jada, and then we just come inside and I just totally spaced on what time it was.
Are we off?
when do we sign did we sign that stall